Hey everybody, welcome back to Terps Esports. Live from College Park, my name is Lily.
And I'm Tomas. It's Thursday night, and you know what that means. We are back for another Valorant match with the one and only Terps Premier team. Tonight, the Terps will be taking on Ohio State University.
Tonight's game will be a regular season best of 3 as part of the BEC season. The Terps have wrapped up their season in the Play vs. League, so it's all eyes on BEC from here on out. In tonight's pre-show, we'll introduce you to the team and take a look at their stats, and even get a chance to chat with the team's duelist, Yex.
But before we jump into that, let's start with the rules of your typical Valorant match. Valorant is an objective-based FPS game where teams of 5 players compete in 2 12-round cycles against each other. The main objective of the game is to plant the spike, defend the spike, manage economies, and create strategic plans to dominate each round.
Tonight, like Tomas mentioned, the Terps are going up against OSU, and this is a team that the Terps know really well as we have been competing against them in the BEC season for the last couple of years now. But first, we want to talk about a really important Recwell initiative.
That's right. Recwell is coordinating their annual food drive from now until November 24th. If you bring 5 canned or other non-perishable foods to Studio C, that's Night Hall 3208, or Sergio's office, Epley 1115G, you get a free Recwell t-shirt.
Definitely make sure to support the food drive if you are able to. Now it's time for us to introduce you to the members of the team. We're also going to read out their stats and as well as their specific roles. Now, I do want to note that these stats are from the Play vs. League, so this will give us a good idea of how the team is performing heading into the BEC season.
Starting off strong, we have Moose as the team sentinel. He's got an ACS of 138 and an ADR of 120 and a KD of .89. Moose is always a super fun player to watch here in the studio, and he is particularly good at planning some gnarly setups to slow down the opposing team.
All right, next up is ZK1 as the team's controller. He's got an ACS of 280, which is actually the highest of his team, an ADR of 173, and a KD of 1.28. Earlier this season, we saw his Terps Esports debut, and he really impressed us, so I'm super excited to see how he performs in tonight's match.
Next up is Sind. As our initiator, he plays a big role in the team's success during site executions on the attack, as well as the retake efforts on defense. He's got an average combat score of 185, an average damage per round of 123, and a kill-death ratio of .82.
Next up, we have the team's flex player, Jinho, and his role as the flex player is to be a versatile player capable of filling in any role his team may need. He's got an ACS of 178, an ADR of 119, and a KD of 0.86.
And finally, Yex is the duelist for our Valorant Premier team tonight. His job is to fight tooth and nail to capitalize on the utility of the rest of his team. He comes into this match with an average combat score of 243, and an average damage per round of 156, paired with a 133 KD. And now, with me is Alex, here for an interview, also known as Yex in game. Hey Alex, how you feeling?
Hey, feeling good, feeling good. How we doing?
I'm doing pretty good too. So you guys came in last week looking to play against Penn State, but I guess your reputation preceded you, and they forfeited. Maybe they were scared. You know, how'd that feel? Like a weight off your back? Was it a nervous game going into it, or were you just disappointed to not play?
No, just disappointed to not play mainly. Yeah, it was kind of annoying just to come to the studio, see all the guys, and not play for sure.
Yeah. So you're the team's duelist, which I feel like takes a lot of confidence, entering with the mindset that you're just a better aimer than your opponent. Do you feel like there's some hidden zen to it, or it's just a little bit of an ego role?
You know, you gotta always be locked. You gotta have the mechanics to back up your kind of play style. It's always nice being a little duelist going in first and top fragging for sure.
Yeah. So you've been on the team for quite a while, at least a couple years at this point now. Does it feel like competing is getting easier, harder, better, worse?
I think competing in general, there's a lot less nervousness that goes into it for sure. I think it's a lot more kind of streamlined, and you know what you need to be doing in and out of the game to improve. I definitely played a lot more back in the day though, but yeah,
Yeah.
competing seems a little bit easier.
And finally, we like to end these with a little bit of a lighter question. So I want to ask, if you could have one ability from the game, which agent's ability would you choose?
I would probably choose Jet's passive ability. That way I could just float down from any height without taking fall damage.
Yeah, that'd be nice. So that's all we have for our interview tonight. So I'll let you go ahead and get ready for our match. And to the audience, stay tuned. We'll be back in just a flash.
My name is Subin Kim, my in-game name is Carrots, and I'm the controller of this team.
My name is Hannah, my IGN is Tuxedo Sam, and I play Sentinel for the team.
My name is Sima, my in-game name is Care Bear, and I'm a flex.
My name is Megan, my IGN is Giraffe, and I'm an initiator.
My name is Sophia, my IGN is Soap, and I'm an initiator.
Hi everyone, I'm Ayush, my in-game name is Dulcexo, and I'm the coach.
For me, I think it was just really interesting to see like our names on like social media and like on a website. I'm just like, whoa, my name is on a website but so I think that was like the number one thing that kind of like just it brought the realization of like what kind of team I'm in, like what kind of position I'm in.
Meeting them. It's like hard to make a woman and non-binary friends in Valorant, so it's just really nice that we have like a team specifically for that.
The studio.
Yeah.
Oh, the studio.
The
Oh,
studio.
I didn't even know that existed. I didn't know that existed until like remember like when we first talked about the studio, I was like, what's that? When I first went to the room, I was like, oh, there's cameras and lighting. I'm just like, that's
Nice computer.
nice
The
computer.
monitors
So
are
true.
crazy.
Winning.
Yeah.
Oh, so true.
Yeah.
W winning.
Getting into that.
Yeah, that
Yeah, I feel like
was pretty cool.
Plastic.
hey. I would say supportive is definitely like Dusty and Rachel. Those two, just like making sure we had scrims down, making sure we had practice schedules down. Like Dusty making sure like to pick out what we did wrong, just like helping us improve. I think definitely.
Yeah, Dusty's a very present coach, so
Very.
it's like he's really reliable and helped us through the whole season.
Thanks, team.
Yeah, you'd even like schedule things for us, like
Like organize all those schedules.
help us map bands and like talk to
Stats,
them
yeah.
if like realize if one of them was like unranked or something. Breaking
Forfeit
a rule.
teams.
Making teams forfeit.
Maybe we don't talk about that last part.
I would also say like our fans in chat, like on
Oh,
stream.
true.
So it was nice knowing
W
people
chat.
watching us.
And the haters.
Oh yeah.
Improve in the higher division.
Yeah, it is definitely more challenging because we're in a higher division now. But I think we could with our coordination. I definitely think we could. We need to bring home another one of these.
It feels great.
You
Yeah.
guys know this is the first title that Terps Esports has won.
Wait, seriously?
And by
really?
women.
Oh, seriously? Oh,
First down.
cool.
I like playing Valorant.
Have an excuse to play games.
That's true. That's good.
For me, I joined because I've always wanted to be on a women's team, especially since I got to UMD, and me and Dusty had always tried to make teams work every semester, and this was the first time it actually did work and stuck, and the people who tried out were committed. So I guess I've always just wanted to be on a women's team to connect more to that community.
To make friends.
So I had that gap, without a team for a while, and then I saw the form, and I was like, I really want to try this. This sounds fun. And then, yeah, I play Valorant too much. First of all, I did not imagine me being IGL when I first started because I am outside of my Lilac team, I am known as the no brain, only aim chamber in comp. So I did not imagine myself being IGL. But like, I think it's like, if there were some difficulties in the beginning because no one, like, I wasn't used to giving out comms. I was just very confused. But I think now it's just like the amount of trust that my teammates give me when I give out comms and the amount of like coordination that we have. Like, I just love being like IGLing because I trust that things will work out.
Welcome back, everybody. We are going to be jumping into the game in a little bit, but until then, so the team is playing in Haven next. That's going to be our first map.
They're going to be headed on to Haven, which is classic map, has been in the map pools for a long time now. You love it or you hate it. 3-sided map.
Yeah.
A lot to cover there on the defensive side, certainly. I'm not sure if they're going to be on the attack or not. A part of me kind of wants them to a little bit. I know Haven tends to, I feel like people favor the attack usually because it is a 3-sided map, but I feel like there's so much to be said about the confidence that they can really just start to come out swinging if they're on the attack.
Yeah, absolutely. But, again, since there are three sites, you have, more opportunities to pull out, I think, more novel setups on the defense as well. So I think there's just a lot of opportunities for new stuff, even if it has been out for so long. And that's what I think really makes the map so fascinating to watch compared to other maps.
For sure. And there's always, like, with new agents coming out, there's always just new things to start to look at on this map. And I think in terms of agent selections, like, we're not going to do anything too crazy. I really do hope we see Moose on that Cypher pick. I know he really loves playing Cypher, and he has some crazy setups. And he's starting to become one of the OGs on this team. He was a new face last year, but has really started to become like one of the core players here, and he's been in that sentinel position for a while. He was on the Sensi position all of last year as well. So he's getting quite comfortable there, and you can definitely tell that his teammates just have a lot of faith in his play calling and in his setups, and he just does a really good job at not over-rotating, really holding the ground for his team. He's kind of that anchor.
Absolutely. Kind of the question on my mind is whether or not we're going to see any veto. We've seen other teams play it just a little bit, but I don't think that we've seen Terps Esports play him at all yet. Now that he's available for the taking, it would be really cool to see like some new setups just because of all that the agent is able to offer for a team that was not available before.
For sure. There's a lot of talk about veto because such a unique agent. We don't have an agent that quite has his toolkit, which is basically the ability to counteract the util dump problem that Valorant was having. A way to get around some of these impossible plays that some of these like pro teams have been able to cook up with using their util in ways that makes situations basically unwinnable. And I feel like veto is going to start to become meta, but it's going to take some time. I think there's some tweaks that need to be made, and that's the thing with Valorant. Like, there's always tweaks being made here and there. I know Clove got tweaked a lot recently, which makes me excited. I love Clove, and I think that's also just something really interesting about the game is like agents can become meta so quickly.
Yeah, absolutely. It's interesting because similar characters in other games, util denial is very, very important in other games, sometimes mandatory. And so to have a character like that introduced into this game, it is kind of surprising, like you say, for it to not be immediately quite strong. But again, we do have not only do we have incredibly strong characters that have our players are just so comfortable with, like Raze and her blast packs, and Yoru had kind of come into the meta as well. He was not as strong on release, and so it might be a matter of, even if veto is very strong, like the players having to figure him out versus just play what they know they can play, and just let somebody else figure out how to make the character work. You get to keep winning, and then once everybody agrees that the other players are strong, that's when you start to experiment as well.
For sure. And speaking of Yoru, I want to highlight ZK1. Now, ZK1 is the control player now for this team. He has bumped his way up to the starting 5, which is a really big deal for him. He's new to this team. This is his first year. So huge deal for him as a player. I know he has a bright future here in the Terps Esports program, but last time we saw him in the studio in his debut on this team, he played Yoru. So we're going to see him in a very, very, very different way tonight, I feel like, than we did last time. He's on controller. He can't play Yoru. So I'm interested to see who he's going to play and how he uses his utility in a role that I'm not sure he's super used to playing. He seems to be more of a duelist player.
Yeah, I mean, I have to imagine that if they have him on the starting roster, that he is very, very skilled as a controller, but it is a completely different playstyle. You know, Yoru really benefits from, being dead. I'm not saying that he doesn't get any value, but his job is really just to enter on site and see what he can do, and if he dies, he's already done his job just by offering the opportunity for the rest of his team to start walking onto site. And Smokes is almost completely the opposite. I mean, Clove kind of has some reason to get into early engagements with her own healing and her ability to resurrect herself, but as well as plays Smokes when she's dead. But most Smoke players, as soon as they're dead, that's it. That's the only value that they're going to get for the round. So yeah, completely different playstyle, and I really want to see how he's going to be able to adapt into this new role now that we're seeing him playing this new character.
And particularly on this map, I would expect to see an Omen for our controller pick. I feel like he's a very strong pick for this map. But Omen, like you said, is one of those more passive controllers. You don't want to die first as Omen.
Yeah.
So it's a very different play style than Yoru, of what we saw from ZK1 in the studio a couple weeks ago. So a lot to look forward to in tonight's match. I think we're going to be heading into the game shortly. Like we said, we are going to be on Haven. I'm still eager to see if we're going to be on the attack or the defense, because I think that fact will say a lot about how the Terps head into this in terms of their play style.
Yeah, absolutely. We've seen in past weeks that the Terps kind of aren't able to find their momentum, and I think that going into attack first is really going to give them the opportunity to set the tempo, set their own pace, and I think that's the kind of play style that they're going to need to have going into this if they want to take this game tonight.
For sure, and I'm happy to hear they're on attack first, I think that's a really good chance for them. Like I said, start the momentum, come out swinging. Ohio State is an opponent that we know very well, and while rosters do change and people switch their roles, this is a school that we don't want to lose against. There's a lot of history there, especially just being in the BEC. Like, these Big Ten schools just have so much history, both in terms of, sharing academic resources and sports and everything. So it just always feels like there's more on the line here when we play one of our Big Ten rivals.
Yeah, absolutely. Some interesting things to point out here. First of all, we're not seeing a Cypher coming out from Terps. They're opting for a Killjoy, which is not a pick that I've seen in quite a while. So I'm interested to see how that's going to play against OSU's own Cypher pick. And additionally, we're seeing double smokes out of both teams. So yeah, it's going to be very, very easy to slow down. But Terps looking to start engaging a little bit on C, but they're going to instead default maybe towards mid with the Cypher and not the Cypher, the Sova mixed with the Sova going into Garage.
Yeah, Jinho just trying to work his way up into Garage along with the rest of his team. Is going to rely on ZK1 and Yex, as it seemed, who was pushing up into Garage, but there's actually been a double back here. The Terps weighing their options. ZK1 doing a lot of damage, although on that Cypher here on C site. So I like how the Terps are playing this right now. They're being really patient, and they're about to find themselves in an open A site.
Yeah, evens out for Terps, losing a little bit of health on their Viper. And, ooh, a beautiful shot from that Sova. Gonna take out ZK1. Terps probably need to speed up their hit, but they've got an open site, so they absolutely have the opportunity to do this. Yoru gonna walk on the site, start fighting against Neon, but no damage is gonna be taken from either side. Planet is gonna go down, and the Neon is gonna work her way towards Heaven, see if she's gonna be able to get a pick from up there.
All right, the retake's got to work for OSU. The Terps trying to keep them off this site. Yex being a little bit more aggressive there as Moose gets picked off. He has no other choice as Sin does get a pick. Jinho escaping with his life barely, but the rest of his teammates are struggling to stay on this site. It's trades back and forth. Yex is the only one left alive, and what a retake it was in the pistol round for Ohio State.
Yeah, that was such a well-played retake by OSU, allowing their Omen to walk up slowly on a short, but they had so much pressure coming in from a long that a length that Terps really could not afford to keep an eye on that. So Omen was able to just set up that blind, beautifully take out 2 players, at least assist, and yeah, just a beautiful retake, completely surrounding the Terps, not allowing them any kind of inch. And now let's see how the Terps are going to be able to react. We do see a lot of rifles on the side of OSU, including a Vandal. So it's going to be very difficult for the Terps to fight here. They also need to be careful of this judge.
Yeah, I was just going to say the judge scares
barely
you
misses.
with that Viper smoke and just a near miss, like you said. Jinho escaping with his life as his alarm bot's still up to look out for him, but more or less of the same play call here for the Terps. They're starting off pretty passively. This time, though, they're executing a site quicker than they did in the last round. They're trying to overwhelm the Cypher on site, and they're just blinded.
Gonna be able to find it. A good smoke allows the Terps to get down the spike, and they actually have a 4v4 retake going here, despite the weapon disadvantage. And with the smokes, it's going to be very difficult for OSU to walk on the site now, but they're going to go down, and now OSU is going to look to start engaging onto the site.
Yeah, a lot of OSU players into heaven. Sin is aware of that, got a head dink with that stinger, but the job is not done. There are 4 OSU players alive. ZK1 takes down 2 of them. And
he's
he's
got the pistol
looking
out, gonna
for
go
more.
down, and now it's just up to Moose. He does have the stinger, but he's got a weapon disadvantage. Gonna be able to find one, but not quite able to find the second one. There's gonna be just enough time for Omen to get down that defuse, but I mean, really, really good, save round for Terps. They were able to take all but one. I don't know what the fate of that Vandal ended up being, but yeah, that's not going to be a lot of money for OSU in the bank going into this bonus.
Yeah, and that's, the way you kind of have to fight back if you're the Terps and you lose round number 1. You got to just take as many guns down as you can with you. And I want to highlight ZK1. He had a great round that time, just hiding into hell, which a lot of players expect on the retake. But he just had an advantage in his aim and in his weapon. He was able to make it work.
Yeah, just beautiful crosshair placement. Able to take out both players as they swung. Just 2 clean shots, and now we see Terps trying to walk up, see a little bit. That Omen, kind of risky position, but nobody's going to swing for him. Just taking it with the Sheriff as well. It's kind of interesting because the Terps should be on a bye typically, but they ended up putting a lot of money into that round, trying to take OSU by surprise, and they almost were able to do it, but it doesn't mean that they're not going to have a full buy here, as they're just doing a slow default, trying to find some space.
Yeah, the Neons being a bit aggressive as they're able to take down both ZK1 and Jinho. Finally, Sin puts a stop to things, but the damage has already been done. Sin still trying to hunt down this player that he knows is in garage, but is this round too far gone for the Terps? It looks like it is, with just Moose, the lurk player, being left alive.
He is able to get maybe a timing, but yeah, these OSU players know exactly where he is. Gonna be able to find one. Is he going to be able to find the second one? He has to keep an eye on his back. Beautiful shot while he's blind. And suddenly this is not unlosable for OSU.
Yeah, Moose doesn't have spike control here, so he has to be really aggressive, and time is ticking. Only 20 seconds to grab the spike and plant it. He's just trying to get as many kills as he can here, knowing that the spike is probably going to be a lost cause. So he's being a little bit more aggressive. He's done enough damage there to be a little bit more confident, but just with the weapon disadvantage, it's going to be very difficult for Moose.
Absolutely, and really, really well played by OSU too. You could see as soon as that timer started ticking down to a point where Moose didn't really have time, they just backed up. They did not need to win that fight at all. They had the rifles, and they were happy to save them. So, Moose ended up having to engage onto a Vandal with only a Sheriff, and that ended up being his demise. But finally, we're seeing a full buy from both teams. Asterisk, it looks like Pat on OSU. The Cypher is going to have a maybe just a stinger, but with 3 players double up on A, that shouldn't be too much of an issue for them. And we're seeing a heavy engage here. A lot of space, but maybe it's going to end up being their downfall.
Yeah, UMD keeps taking these early mid engagements, and it hasn't worked out for them for the last 3 rounds, but this time they're looking to flip the script and actually successfully take garage control, which is something they haven't been able to do in the last couple of rounds. This time they're investing more bodies there. They're investing more utility, as you can see with ZK1 landing, like you said, a great shot. Now they're able to double back and hopefully grab the spike, but they've lost Moose in the process.
Here's the question, how aware are Terps of this heavy engagement from OSU? They're gonna be able to take out both of them. A beautiful blind from that Omen player, and now Terps up 4-2 are looking very dominant in this round if they're gonna be able to find the last 2 players that get the spike.
Yeah, and they're actually doubling back towards garage, and they do have to be aware of this Omen, who's positioned themselves very wisely to have eyes on Yex and the rest of the squad trying to retake this site. Finally, Jinho able to kill the Omen, and the Terps should be able to get this plant down. Now all that's left is the Neon, who is working their way through CT there.
Yeah, we'll see what this Neon is going to be able to accomplish, but not a lot of util. Does have all of Neon's util, but of course, you know, there's no blinds, there's no info to be gained. Just fight advantages, but he's going to be able to find one. There's no trade. Finally, Jinho is going to be able to take down the Neon, and Terps are going to be able to put their first round on the board.
And it was a great round for Jinho. Jinho got 3 kills that round, and kind of quietly, you know, they weren't all in a row or all in a clutch scenario. He just won his individual fights when he needed to.
Yeah.
And Jinho also has been a member of this team for a very long time. He was actually the only member on this team, I think, who did the Ohio State LAN with us back in, I believe that was spring 23. So
yeah,
it's
medieval times.
Yeah, it's been a while, but Jinho has remained faithful to his team, and we're happy to see him having these really awesome rounds.
So much aggression. Jinho finally putting down the turret, but I think it's too late. We saw this timing happen before, and Terps were caught off guards. This time, Jinho is not going to be played for a fool, going to be able to take out that Neon, and OSU is forced to just back up, able to find 2 are the Terps, and now they're up already 5-3. We're only barely into this round. They barely have left spawn.
Terps looking a lot more confident this time. You know, they're not really taking that much room and space onto these sites, but they know OSU is being a little bit more aggressive, and they're expecting it, and they're winning those fights. And now that opens up the late stages of this round incredibly, as we can see come into fruition with this effortless C push we see. Terps are going to be able to get the bomb down no problem here and set up a really tough retake situation with Moose on the lurk, which is really smart if he's able to reposition himself to watch CT.
Yeah, now we see that Sova has to keep an eye on their back, but instead Viper opting to just go towards B, and maybe a good call because Sova is clearly aware that Viper could be somewhere, but it doesn't seem like the players on C-Link have the same kind of intuition. Moose going to be able to find 1, and finally the Sova game going to be able to find 3. Kind of chopped in the corner by Moose. Moose just opting to back up, but suddenly, fortunately, Yex is there to pick up Sova. That got very scary very quickly.
Man, what a clip for that Sova.
Absolutely.
Those were some insane shots. But I really do like the fact that Moose worked his way all the way through CT. He got a pick or 2 because of it. And that is really what made the difference for the Terps, because you think about if those picks didn't go Moose's way and that Sova just massacred all of us, the round could have looked very different.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's because of that space that Moose was able to make that we were able to trap Sova into C-Link, and now we're seeing a lot of aggression out of the Terps, just 5 people running down A, and I really like this change of pace because OSU has been kind of just running it down every single round. They've kind of just chosen a site and then walk their way down, so Terps opting to turn up the heat a little bit, especially now that OSU is going to be down on weaponry on this round as well.
Yeah, that Cypher Cam's going to sell out the Terps early, though, but they have stayed true to A long for the most part, despite being caught by the Cypher Cam. They're about to get caught once again by the Sova drone. Is their play call going to change here? No, they go full send, and Yex will pay for it. Although, it's all hope's not lost for the Terps, but they're going to have to take this fight here into A long. They come out equal at the end of it, 3 apiece on each side of the map. But really awkward way to start this round.
Beautiful flash.
Yeah,
Moose
Moose.
going to be able to take it. Now Terps are just running for the hills. They do have Hamburger here on the Viper as going to be a thorn in their sides. Beautiful shot. Is he going to be able to find a second one? He's not. Now the Terps are just going to be able to walk their way onto C. And it's all up to that Cypher on OSU. I'm not sure if that player even has a kill yet. So this could either be a very, very big round for that Cypher, or Terps are going to be able to even out the rounds.
And I like that the Terps are opting to play this one from long, make it as difficult as they can for the defensive side. They're going to wait for their audio cue to come through of the spike being diffused. They're going to double swing. They're not going to give up ones. That is the way that they're going to win this round.
Absolutely. There's not a lot the Pat can do. Can't really tap the spike just because of, a lack of smoke. So he just has to push his way up, and not ready for Omen's off angle. Going to be able to find him, and Terps up 3-3 now after a 3-round deficit immediately.
Yeah, and it's a great comeback just to dig yourself out of a hole before it gets too deep. You don't want to go into the defensive half being down 11 rounds, because then you have nothing to work off of. So while it's not the scoreline we necessarily hope for, as it's only tied right now, but they have really found themselves in a good position here, also with 5 ultimates on the board.
Yeah, I was going to say, this is going to be a very, very difficult engagement for OSU to defend, even if they have 3 ults of their own. Yoru opting to just clear short with his ultimate and working his way now onto B. Sin's beautiful ultimate as well, and the Terps have a free sight. They're already up. The Viper ultimate's going up as well, and I mean, this is about as losable as a 5v4 can get.
Yeah, I mean, so many ultimates invested for the Terps, but this Vipers managed to make their way to site, but not if Yex has anything to say about it. Yex hiding in the Viper pit, waiting for a push to come through, and he's going to get that push, find the kill along with it. The Terps are in a really good position here. Like you said, with that many ultimates, it's hard to lose, but not impossible as long as they can stop this Omen.
Gonna go for another swing, but Sin right there to take in. Terps are gonna find their first round advantage in this match. And it doesn't look like they have any signs of stopping. OSU is kind of out of money, and so they're going to call a timeout, see if they can come up with anything. You can see the Terps are really happy about this. After those first rounds, they really have found their stride, and it's kind of looking unbeatable almost.
And that's exactly what you want to see. You want to see the team fist bumping. You want to see people clapping. They're hype about, okay, we started down, but we cracked the code, it seems like. They're back in this game. And now they're ahead for the first time on Haven. A lot to celebrate for the Terps, but I really hope they do take this time out and really point out, okay, like what has been working? What can we continue to do to keep this lead going?
And I think it's their aggression. We saw how much space OSU has been able to take in the beginnings of these rounds, just, running down with their neon, or lurking their way up certain either a main or mid, and Terps have decided to just turn the pace up to 100, either running down a long or working their way mid. I think it's that pace that has been able to give them the advantage in this round, and I really want to see that continuing. I'm curious if Ohio State is going to keep up their pressure, or kind of set themselves up to just receive what the Terps have in terms of this aggression.
Because it also seems like the Terps have kind of cut out their mid pushes recently, which I think also has something to do with the aggression and the scoreline, like you were saying. Nothing seems to have changed in this next round, where the Terps looking like they want to neglect mid and do a C-long push for the first time this series. And they unfortunately do have a Cypher set up to work through, and I think the Cypher definitely hears some footsteps coming their way and wants to back up. But hey, that's a quick and dirty way to get site control for the Terps.
Yeah, I mean, that's just fully ready to start planting. And we have the Viper all the way in spawn, and I actually absolutely love this. It's a very unconventional place, but I mean, surely there's no reason to check it, right?
Yeah.
They're going to be able to find an easy kill, and there is the Sova there, but that's just information. And Hamburger messing around with their teammate a little bit as that Killjoy ultimate is going to go down, and what that means is that Terps have kind of flipped the script. They have basically the opportunity to just play defense here, and now OSU is on a time limit, so it's going to be very difficult. In fact, it's just up to this Omen, going to be sprayed down through his flash, and a beautiful 3K from Jinho somehow out of all of that chaos. Terps up 3-5.
Yeah, Jinho is having a really great game, and also that's exactly how the Terps want to come out on the other side of Ohio State's timeout. You know, you
Yeah,
don't want to crumble and let Ohio State gain any sort of hope that, you know, what they had worked out during the timeout is going to work. No, you want to keep pushing with your economy. You want to keep pushing with that lead, and that's exactly what they've been doing.
Yeah, I'm curious if we're going to see the Terps Esports team go back into their mid pushes, but it looks like they're just going to show that same aggression this time. So they're going to work their way up. Are they ready for this Viper all the way out? Going to get flashed, but pinged, but it doesn't matter. And Terps are going to lose 3 players. Sin going to be able to find the only sort of equalizing pick.
Yeah, a lot of deaths really early on for the Terps, too early on, but if they're able to work their way into it, it's got to be right here. They are stuck trying to get out of this A site. They're being pinched from all different directions. Moose and Jinho gonna have to land some crazy shots and avoid taking any HP damage, and Moose will be the first one to die, leaving it up to Jinho, and he will follow. So finally, it looks like Ohio State, you know, starting to inch back into this one, maybe.
Absolutely. Yeah, you can see that, you know, this is what I was talking about, where Ohio State, I'm sure we're talking during their timeout about how aggressive Terps Esports have become in these past couple rounds, and now they're deciding to just let them aggress into Ohio State. So we'll see if the Terps are going to take that feedback, and it looks like they're looking towards one of those mid hits. Is this what OSU is expecting? Is, you know, beat Terps Esports aggression one time and then assume that they're going to go back into their slow game plan?
It does look like OSU's being aggressive on a long, which is kind of the MO that the Terps have been doing recently. But it's a question, are they going to push through this Omen smoke and catch the Terps potentially off guard during their mid hit? It looks like Moose may be expecting that.
Yeah, and it's tough. Moose going to push up into the Neon. I'm sure she was not expecting that, but doesn't matter, because what we see is a huge engagement all the way into C. Pat is staying on site, but he's going to get fully blinded. Almost gets fully blinded again, but unfortunately Yex not quite going to be able to rely on his copy. And now they need to figure out this test. He's finally going to be called out by that Molly, and now it's just these 2 players in garage. Are they going to be able to do this retake?
Oh, Jinho with the 4K. Wow, he has just been getting, like, at minimum 3 kills per round, it feels like, at least. And this C site push has worked out multiple times for the Terps, which is surprising because I feel like C is a really difficult site to take on the attack on this map. But they've looked really, really confident. So I feel like if it's not broke, don't fix it. Keep going C. Keep overwhelming that Cypher setup. It doesn't look like OSU's stacking it either.
Yeah, we're seeing a lot of that util dump that you're talking about, where Pat kind of had no chance. He was able to get that Yoru, but I mean, even that seemed almost miraculous. Now the Terps finally going for their mid aggression that they started this game off with, but Pat playing very aggressive, somehow able to work all the way down C long, and I'm not sure if the Terps are ready for this.
Yeah, a bit of a different play from OSU. They're going to have to be really diligent about checking that corner. Yeah, Jinho might be the first one to make contact there, but there's a big distraction into garage. Jinho does die to that corner play, and the Terps are just on the other side of the smoke in garage, and trades just going back and forth on this C site. Terps have still managed to keep control of that spike. It's actually Yex who has that, which is kind of odd for the Terps, but now they can breathe a little bit as they can set up a retake.
Ooh, it's such a scary position to be with this shorty. We'll see if OSU, they don't really have any great opportunities to clear, and they're just going to wait for the smoke to go down. See if ZK1 is going to be able to get this kill. Not quite, but Yex is there. Going to fall to the Sova, and now with the Sova scans, Moose is going to be called out. No util on his side. He's just going to have to bait this out. There's a very strong position to be in, and he's going to be able to capitalize. Moose going to be able to clutch up, and Terps up 4-7 going into the last round of this half.
Yeah, beautiful play by Moose there. I feel like once you get a player seen along and you're waiting for that diffuse to come through, it's very tempting just to toy with the diffuser and jump peek and jiggle and spray. Moose, kind of knowing that those are the games that are played frequently, you know, threw one little jump peek out there and then full swing. Then I'm definitely going to be using that in my Valorant games because that was honestly inspirational for Moose.
Absolutely. And Terps, yet again, going for this mid-aggression. They're not going to be capitalized. They did a great job, but looks like Viper is going to be called out a little bit by that stun. Barely able to escape with their life, but Terps have already worked their way all the way into Garage, and I'm not sure if OSU really has the capabilities to stop them. This Killjoy ultimate is going to entirely shut down C, entirely shut down B as well, and going to allow the Terps to just walk right onto site. Are they going to be ready for these players to just have full site control without losing a single player?
Yeah, a lot of ultimates invested for the Terps. It pays off as they're able to get that bomb planted, but there's a lot of OSU players still alive. Yex able to take down one of them. Moose another with his stellar positioning into mid there, but the job is not done. There are 3 OSU players alive with 3 ultimates online too, so you can't count them out. Jinho fighting in Garage, gonna get caught at an unexpected angle. Sin gonna try to avenge him and does exactly that. The Terps more numbers up, and it keeps building as Yex gets a pick. 2v1 for the Terps. Cypher ultimate used for OSU. The bomb is ticking
Doesn't
down.
matter. Sova has an ultimate, so this is going to be basically unwinnable for that Cypher. And the question is whether or not he's going to be able to get picks to pad his KD. He's going to end up falling to Sin's ultimate. Terps are going to go up 8-4. It's a very, very strong opening half.
Yeah, especially starting off 0-3, being able to crawl your way back to an 8-4 scoreline, huge for the Terps.
And I think this has really been, you know, the pace game that we were talking about. I think that Terps were kind of getting overrun those first couple rounds, and they just decided to push back. And you know, we can clearly see how effective that is. After those first 3 rounds, they ended up winning the 8 out of the next 9. So yeah, I think it was an absolutely terrific choice by the Terps to end up picking attack first and then playing this momentum game as strong as they did. And we'll see now how they're going to be able to receive OSU.
The Terps have shifted onto the defensive side, and they are met with a lot of aggression off rip onto B side. They're going to completely lose control, actually, and now they find themselves in a very early retake scenario, but it's pistols, it's anybody's round, and they're going to have to make their utility work out for them, but instead they're getting overwhelmed by utility, and they're getting picked off before they can even start a retake. Terps dropping like flies. A spike still left to defuse. Jinho, though, you cannot count the Terps out when he is still alive, as he's on the brink of an ace here and just misses it narrowly. But ZK1 still alive, has that right click in store and misses it narrowly, and the reload comes through for both sides. Spike still ticking down here. ZK1 narrowly misses that shot. You can see
they're not particularly happy about that. That was a little bit of a silly scuffle that we had inside of that smoke, and you know, hopefully nobody was able to see because they were inside of the cover, but I think he knows that we were all watching. So a little bit of an unfortunate foible by the Terps, but still up 8-5. And it was really interesting to me that they played so aggressive. They kind of just, you know, waterfalled their way through those smokes, which gives OSU the advantage in that case. I'm kind of curious why they didn't wait for the smokes to go down and then have a real engage. Unfortunately, Yex is going to be called out before his teleport can bring him back to safety, but we still see a lot of aggression out of the Terps, and that is what I want to see. Unfortunately, the aggression is misplaced as OSU is just going to walk their way onto C, take out Moose in the process, and now this 3v5 retake is going to be very, very difficult. Down weapons, down players, and Pat is just going to take advantage of Jinho's lack of range.
Man, these 2 past rounds that the Terps have been on the defense have been quick and painful to watch if you're a Terps fan, because OSU is just able to get onto these sites so quickly, and it's just the most chaotic retake every single time for the last 2 rounds.
Yeah.
And you just want to see some order come through for the Terps in their defense.
Well, I'm sure order is what we're going to get now as we see the Terps on their full buy, and in fact, they are going to have the advantage in this round in terms of weaponry as well. So hopefully this round will just be the matter of damage control, but we'll see what they're going to be able to pull off in OSU, see if they're going to be able to make something out of nothing, as they do have a couple Vandals, but they're going to be down in almost every engagement that they take this round.
CK1 looking like he's going to make first contact there, and it's going to be with a lot of players, although he does get scanned, forced to back off, uses Omen utility to fake that TP, and actually Yek's going to swing, and that looked like it was going to be a great play until it wasn't, and it just continues to crumble here for the Terps. They have almost completely lost control of A site, but the play call for OSU is going to be to double back. Actually, Jinho might have a great read here. He's able to down Spike, and he does get picked shortly after, but he puts the Terps in a very winnable position.
Yeah, they know where the Spike is, and they know that there's a rotate going out as well. Unfortunately, it does look like B is a little bit of a missed opportunity, and Moose playing ring around the rosy. I don't even know if either team knows what's going on, but Pat going for the plant now. I don't think that he knows how close Moose is, and he's going to be able to get that pick. Omen all the way in spawn, feeling a little bit lost as there's only 30 seconds left. He still has to work his way onto site and get the spike down. He has no idea where these players are remaining anyway.
Could this be the first round that the Terps take? It's going to be up to Moose as he catches the Omen off guard. And a win is a win. It's not as flashy as a win as the Terps may have liked to have had here, but they have managed to win their first defensive round, and that is going to hopefully set them upright to maintain their lead.
Yeah, unfortunately, that while they did get the round win, it was a very costly round win. As we see, we don't get a full buy out of the team. Yex, not enough money for even a rifle. Sind, not enough money for a Vandal or a Phantom. Forced to use a Bulldog, so Terps are going to be a little bit on the back foot on this round, but still very, very winnable.
Jinho, able to escape detection there, is going to throw down his molly for some extra security, but this is a full-scale garage push here. So much utility already invested onto the C site where Moose and Jinho just trying to stay alive, just trying to buy time for the rest of their team, and they've managed to do just that, especially with Moose getting that pick. That's a great way to start off the beginning stages of this round.
OSU has definitely confirmed that they have garage control, but it's not really going to count for anything because they're going to get received no matter where they push. Opting instead for a B hit, which was very effective. We'll see if the Terps have a better response for it now that they have weapons.
And OSU's got to recoup a little bit. It looks like it's going to be towards this B site as Jinho is able to get a pick into garage and backs up. He might think this is going to be a C long push because OSU is being really quiet, and who knows where they're going to end up. It looks like they're scaling actually back towards garage, so Jinho being patient is going to pay off.
Doesn't even look like OSU knows. Looks like finally they've made up their mind. They're going C, but this is a stacked site for Terps Esports. Omen going to be able to get the teleport out to safety, and I think that they're just going to call full retake, kind of leaving Jinho to the wolves, but they still have an advantage in terms of manpower. However, Sova has his ultimate for OSU. If he's able to get long and buy time, this could be very, very dangerous. Doesn't look like he's going to have the opportunity, though. Just going to stay on site and try to hold down the fort.
All right, the Terps starting to get ideas of where these remaining OSU players are, but the kills come first and quickly yet again as we see just, oh my god, another round lost for the Terps. I had so much faith that, after we win that one defensive round, we're going to keep going. We're going to go on a run, but it's tough to have a quick turnaround like that. Yeah,
unfortunately, they had that Neon dead to rights trapped in the corner, but somehow they were just able to shoot their way out and bring the situation into a 1v1 where Terps Esports were just going to get outgunned a little bit. And speaking of outgunned, look at the difference in weaponry here. We've got full buys out of OSU versus just pistols on the Terps.
A lot of early aggression here from OSU, straight into this B site using all the walls they have available to them, and the Terps are just nowhere near being able to fend for themselves. Spike already planted. Terps have to make this retake work. They almost did so in round number 1, but they narrowly lost. It came down to a 1v1. Can we see something similar again, but with a different outcome? And it's
Neon ultimate coming in to try to confirm the round for sure. Jinho going to be able to finally put that down with the shorty. I'm not sure if that's going to have a weapon come along with it. Silva going to be able to take out Moose. It's just up to Sind in a 1v2, but pretty winnable 1v2. Not a ton of time. And speaking of time, feeling the heat a little bit, Sind just running straight into Danger's way. Going to be able to clean up this round is that Viper out of OSU. And Terps only up 1 round now. That beautiful lead that they were able to build up is quickly crumbling.
And I just want to emphasize what a great game this is. Look at the scoreboard. Everyone is pretty much equal. Everyone is in this game. It's been a really competitive map so far, and it's been really fun to watch. As ultimates are starting to come online, that's another theme of this map. I feel like everyone saves their ultimates for 1 round, and I think we're about to see something very similar. So much aggression off the bat into Sewer. ZK1 getting picked off. Sind as well, and it's just been a really rough start for the Terps round after round. OSU kind of neglecting the spike, neglecting site control. They just have confidence that they're going to get these picks, and it's been working for them, so they just don't have a reason to believe otherwise.
Yeah, a good call by OSU to back up and turn off the pressure after so much aggression to start the round off, and they're finally going to walk their way back to A, and it's a perfect call because Terps have regrouped towards C. Finally, the ultimate is going to come out. That's going to tell OSU the go-ahead that they need, and they're just going to be able to walk away on the site, get down the spike, and start setting up for the retake. This should be a very difficult retake for the Terps to break, just because they do have that Silva ultimate as well as they're down numbers, and it seems as if they're just going to call the save, but Neon is not having any of that. They're going to chase down that Killjoy all the way to B, it looks like.
And this Neon for OSU, I just feel like has been causing so many problems for the Terps. And let's see if Moose is able to get a pick onto them. Yeah, Moose actually getting nice 2-piece there in the process of saving his Phantom. But yeah, the Neon has been an issue in the early round stages for us because with their utility, they're able to be so aggressive.
Yeah.
And the Terps are just losing that fight consistently.
Yeah, they really need to keep an eye out for that Neon. You know, we saw in the first half of the game that they were having difficulty with, keeping this Neon in check, and now they're having the same problem. I wonder if they're going to come up with the same solution. And as I say this, they're going to call a timeout. I think that timeout came at the perfect time, as Terps need to figure out something. Whatever they're doing is not really working, as they've lost. They were only able to win 1 of the 6 rounds that we've had on after this halftime switch.
And I do like the timing of this timeout. Like you said, the Terps are not out of this game at all. They just know that they can do better, and they know that they haven't been looking as sharp as they were on the other side of the map. So I do like this timing called out of the timeout by Napaso, who has been their coach for all of the season so far, and he is actually new to coaching this team for this semester. So he's only going to get better with time, and we can certainly see just a lot of improvement already in the first couple of months of him being a coach.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm curious what he's talking about with his players right now. I want to see some aggression. I want to see what we were seeing out of OSU with the aggressive, engagements, A long or C or mid or something, because right now they're just letting Ohio State take as much space as they want, and that kind of works on attack when all you need is one site, but when you're on defense, you really need to keep an eye on the entire map, because if you start losing control of any part of the map, that's a weakness that OSU is going to be able to take advantage of and just walk their way right onto that site. So we're going to be seeing a lot of pressure coming out from OSU towards A yet again, and not a ton of aggression out of Terps to engage it. We do see a shock there, but that's about it.
Oh, and this Omen TP may have just caught Sind off guard and knowing that he's going to run away for dear life, but A-Site has OSU's name written all over it. The Terps have had no chance to stop this plant from happening. Sind and Moose about to make contact with this Omen who has used their ultimate to get up into heaven and has taken down both Sind and Moose. That's not what you want to see for the Terps. It's going to make the retake all that much harder and just not the way you want to start on the other side of this timeout, especially with ZK1 getting picked off. It's a 3-piece for the Omen on OSU's side. Not a flawless though for OSU thanks to Jinho, who's the last one alive here, but not for long as OSU pushes their lead up to 10.
And they're finally going to be able to take that round advantage back from the Terps, who had been holding on to it for almost the entire round since they were able to take it in the first half. And you know, the Terps were on a save round last round, of course. They had only one rifle in the hand of Yex thanks to the save from Moose. And this is going to be their first buy. It's also going to be the first operator that we've seen all game. And I think that we are going to see it from Yex just in mid. And this is the kind of aggression that we were talking about. I want to see him start walking down B, start taking the space away from OSU, make it unlivable.
Oh, this is exciting for Yex as he lands a headshot with the operator to start off this round. That's exactly the energy the Terps need to even out this scoreline. 5 ultimates online for the Terps. Will they have to use them? We are going to have to see how the rest of this round unfolds as Jinho playing kind of a scary position, really aggressive up in garage. I like that he's backed up a little bit, playing a little bit more conservatively as OSU is just trying to decide where the play call is for them.
Yeah, and you can see how scared OSU is now that they know that there's an op, and in fact, that op can be wherever at once because of Yoru's ability to rotate so quickly with his teleport ability. OSU is, you know, not really happy to push anywhere because they could be walking their way right into a one-shot. Finally going to work their way onto B, but the plan is a fake. They're waiting for a Sova ultimate or something to keep them off of site. And now Yex lining up the op shot, not quite going to be able to make it. No get out of jail free card, and 2 players are going to fall towards A main. They need to be ready for the aggression that's there, but Sin going to be able to take out one, not able to find the second one, but on that Omen going to be able to find Jinho, and it's now just up to a 1v2. Is Moose going to be able to find both of these kills? Going to be able to find one, but not quite going to be able to find the second one. That Omen just being such a thorn in the side of Terps Esports, just always where he needs to be.
And it's just such a close margin that the Terps lost that round. And, you know, it wasn't the round on the other side of the timeout that went their way, but this round, later on, when they're able to, you know, be in a little bit more of a economically favored and ultimate favored round, narrowly lost. And unfortunately, that's all it takes for them to be just holding pistols in this next round.
Yeah. And it is a scary round too, because if they lose this, OSU is going to find themselves on to match point. So we'll see what Terps are going to be able to pull out. They do find, with aggression, Moose going to be able to find 2. Not only is that 2 kills and a player advantage, but it's also 2 weapons if he's going to be able to get his team to regroup with him there. And we see an Omen ultimate going for that retake that I was just talking about, and OSU not opting to plant, because they need to find some picks now. They barely have a weapons advantage, and they're down players as well. The only thing they have going for them is that somehow they're in Terps Esports spawn, all of them working their way towards A, which is an empty site for the Terps.
Yeah, really sneaky play from OSU, and they are really coordinating this well, being absolutely silent. It looks like Yex may have a little bit of an inkling, though, as he's probably going to be the first one to make contact on this CT push, and he finds one, doesn't hit the shot until the second comes through. Great job from Yex, and also Sin, both of them landing some insane sheriff shots, managed to down Spike, and now they're in a really good position to thrifty this round if they're able to kill this Omen.
It's just this Omen, though. Only 20 seconds, though, so, you know, with the ultimate, Omen is able to go wherever he pleases, but he's looking to go just straight back to A.
Oh, and you kind of hate to see Moose split up here because of where the Omen is positioned. But hey, if the Omen decides to plant B, it might be good because then they can pinch this Omen from both A-Link and C-Link.
Yeah, allows them to clear out the map twice as quickly, but They do have that Omen down to just 1 health, but we've seen how effective he is, and this is a really good angle to take. I take it back. Moose going to be able to find that completely ready for that kind of play, and Terps are finally going to be able to put another round on the board. Is this the momentum that we need to start bringing this back?
Yeah, it's a thrifty. So if it's anything, it's got to be this. And Moose had a really great round that last round. He's up to 25 kills, which is the highest of the lobby. So he is certainly clutched up here in the half switch, as you would expect to see from a Viper on defense. But he's just having a really, really great game. And, you know, that last round was an example of that. He got, I think, 2 or 3 kills that last round, which was really the difference maker. And side note, I see another op purchased, so I'm excited to see that be used.
Absolutely. We're going to see OSU, a lot of aggression down C, and it's just Moose here to take it. He's going to finally put down a Viper's Pit, but Jinho is going to be able to find the Neon, and that's a lot of aggression taken down. They do allow OSU just to walk up onto site regardless of it, but they're going to be able to put down a Killjoy turret, and since they have the turret watching Garage, they know that there's nobody there to take it, and Sin gonna be able to shoot down Sova even through the ultimate. Now they have to work their way through a Viper's Pit, but they know that the Viper's Pit is clear because of the ultimate. Now Hammer is gonna have to fight his way back into his own pit, and a Killjoy ultimate gonna be able to catch Omen. It's just up to this final player, but he's trapped out because of that operator, and he's just gonna allow the spike to go down. He is gonna be able to get a pick, but it's not gonna be enough. And the Terps able to equalize it to 11-11. That's about as close as you can make it.
And what a round from the Terps there. That was just probably the most Overwatch looking round I've seen all game. Just so much utility all at once. So many ultimates all at once. I could barely see the screen, I felt like. But regardless of that, the Terps able to find the calm in the storm and really get a hold of that retake to put them at an 11-11 scoreline when they really needed it. They've managed to evade like losing this map quickly, which is what it almost kind of looked like. But with Jinho playing the way he is and getting these early round picks, it's going to be really hard for OSU.
Really good timing from Hamburger. Going to be able to walk their way onto site. Are going to be found by Moose to equalize the round, but they had such a strong start taking out that Neon, and unfortunately they just lost it. Now OSU going to their tried and true B plant, and they're going to be able to get it down, but the Sova with the ultimate is there to stop them.
Still trying to get a plant on site. Finally, OSU able to do so. UMD have the numbers advantage and the ultimate advantage. ZK1 going to use that dimensional drift to try and sniff out where the positioning is for the OSU side. Able to spot 1 or 2 of them as he's trying to use his utility here to work alongside his other teammates retaking, particularly Moose. Could be unexpected here for OSU.
Flash coming out. It's not going to find Sova, but it doesn't matter because the Terps are just there. Really, really well played, systematically clearing A short, mid, and C link. And so they were just able to say, we got the players down on mid. Let's just collapse on them. And that's exactly what they did. And now OSU is down to their last chance to bring us to overtime. And they don't have a great buy. They are going to all have rifles, but they don't all have full shields, and I have to imagine that they don't all have all of their utility as well compared to Terps Esports with their ops, with their vandals, with their outlaws. This is going to be a very, very strong buy from the Terps, and not a super strong buy at all for OSU. We see a lot of them having to opt for their half shields, and Terps making a really smart pick to basically have these pocket operators in hand, but a really good shock dart going to be able to find Omen and bring him down to half HP. Not quite going to be able to find him, and now Sin has to run for the hills. Is he going to be able to hack? ZK1 there, he's got his back, and it's now all up to the Omen on OSU, trapped in heaven. Finally makes his way onto site. He's got Spike, but he doesn't really have a lot more than that. He has no utility, and he doesn't even have full health. Let's see what he's going to be able to pull out.
Terps are literally knocking on the door of an insane map number 1. They've been down and they managed to crawl their way back up, but can they put the nail in the coffin? It will be ZK1 to do it. You can see how excited and hyped these players are. Smiles all around, high fives, fist bumps, the whole 9 for the Terps. What a map number 1. We expected nothing less of this match with OSU, but I'm super excited to see what the rest of the series has in store.
Absolutely. With their backs against the wall, Terps are going to be able to take the first round. What happens in the next maps, we'll have to find out right after this.
Whether you're a new publisher or app developer, or if you've been around the block for a little while and you have your own ad ops team, Playwire is developing the solutions and products that are perfect for you.
RAMP stands for Revenue Amplification Management Platform. But really what it does, it helps you make more money per user, and it helps you simplify your business so you can just focus on what matters, which is making great content. So if you think about today's ecosystem, there's so many different pieces to run an ad tech platform.
RAMP brings the entire ad ecosystem under one umbrella. Everything from centralized ad unit creation to piping in those demand sources. We layer on a DMP, and we take care of your data privacy and consent management for you as well. We tie all of that together with robust analytics.
Playwire really offers our publishers 2 different models at this point. We've got the full service model where we come in and we cover everything. And there's now our new self-service model where you can come in and you can say, I just want Playwire to take care of some of these things for me. Another thing that we've had a lot of partners do with us in the past is say, hey, maybe I have a few of my own direct campaigns that I want to run. Or I've even got an ad ops team. I don't know whether Playwire is right for me because those people are doing a good job. We don't want to displace them in favor of Playwire. That's fine. We're happy to bring all the technology that we've put out there, but use it with your own team and with your own ad stack. What does that mean for you as a publisher? It means that you get to leverage all of the revenue maximization technology that we've got in place and still have all of the capabilities and all of the demand partners that you're used to working with. You can have your cake and you can eat it too.
We actually do things at such scale, right? We're serving 70 billion ads a month at this point. That's a huge benefit that we're passing on to the publisher.
Revenue intelligence marries human intelligence with machine intelligence. At its core, revenue intelligence is about taking all the demand that you're already getting and getting more out of it. We want to make it so that you're getting 10% more from your ad inventory without even worrying about who the advertisers are. It's based on us going in and understanding what are the places where we can put additional price pressure on. There's all sorts of situations like this where you can eke out little benefits and add them all up. You're quickly at a point where you are getting that 10, 15, 20% uplift on your revenue without having made any changes in who's actually doing the advertising.
Our DMP is built from the ground up to work in a cookieless environment and not use cookies to basically store, user behavior or anything like that. And it's built right into the RAMP platform.
We can tell advertisers information about user interests, but also user behavior, do it on a massive scale, do it in that real-time way that we also do with our revenue intelligence capabilities, and also do it in a way where we can leverage the size of our network. We're trying to do everything that we can to show you every step of the process of getting an ad onto the page. That means that we've got much richer charts and graphs, a lot more ability to look at a piece of information and drill down on it, answer that question that maybe you didn't even know that you were asking. We're trying to make you think differently, actually, about your business, about how your business relates to advertising, and reveal all of that through the platform. So analytics are one big piece of it.
It's a constant evolution. We're constantly updating our technology. We're constantly creating the future.
It's a real challenge for publishers these days to navigate advertising technology. It seems like every 6 months there's some new challenge. And at Playwire, we make sure that we take all of that pain away from our publishers so they can focus on their core business of publishing.
Terp Adventures. Take flight at Stamp. Host to countless Maryland events, programs, performances, and more. Feed your body. Feed your mind. Feed your soul. Let your talents soar. Dance, sing, perform. Find your thing. Join more than 800 student organizations and clubs. Find community here. Leadership lives here. Art thrives here. With space to grow. We're all just kids at heart. Let your imagination fly. Compete. Play. With wings on our feet. Here your spirit can fly. Here your soul lifts up. Here you remember those who came before. This is STAM. This is the Center for Campus Life, where Terp adventures take flight. You belong here. Come fly with us.
Hey everybody, welcome back. We are about to head into map number 2, which is going to be Corrode. Love it or hate it, I know it's a hot topic in Valorant. I personally don't love the map, but I know a lot of people do enjoy it.
Yeah, it just doesn't feel that unique. It just kind of feels to me like it was a basic map. It would have been fine on release, but now, we kind of need some spectacle. I feel like every map that was released, after the launch of the game had its own little gimmick, and you just don't really see that on Corrode. It's kind of, I don't know. But certainly what we will see is some new strats, very, very tight corners on this map. So it's going to be a little bit different than what we see with a lot of long angles that we see on Haven. So I'm curious to see how Terps are going to tackle this map compared to Haven.
And let's just talk about Haven. That was such an epic map. That's textbook everything you want to see in your team's fight and in your team's just chemistry showcase in a map. They started off being down, they found their way back up, and then it was kind of a tussle towards the end there. Terps falling a little bit behind and then sweeping back up and winning the round without having to go into overtime. And they held OSU to 11 round wins, which is a really tricky place to hold another team. You're nearing overtime at that point.
Yeah.
So the energy in the studio, honestly, like as soon as we walked out of the casting booth, everyone was so hyped. Everyone was like just really lifting each other up, complimenting each other, laughing about some of the funny moments we saw, just everything you want to see.
Yeah, absolutely. But I'm sure that they're starting to lock in again because it's no longer time for games. This is serious because UMD is on defense, and we saw how much they struggled. It was absolutely an attacker-sided game over on Haven, and if that's going to be the case, Terps Esports are going to have to fight against the momentum. And we're seeing now the picks coming out, and Terps opting for a very, very similar team structure, if not the same characters, but we're seeing some novelty picks out of OSU. Only Omen looks like is going to be the same from map 1.
And also for the Terps, there's a couple out-of-pocket picks here, like Yex on Neon. I am so excited to see him on that agent. I know that's I think his favorite agent. It at least was in previous seasons, so I would imagine it's similar, but he loves using that ultimate that Neon has. It's so powerful if you know how to use it correctly.
Yeah.
We also have a chamber, which is a really niche pick here on Corrode, I feel like, especially. So I'm really excited to see how that comes into fruition. And on the OSU side, we have a Vice, which has been a little bit more meta, but it's very map dependent.
Absolutely.
And I think it's really Vice is a really exciting agent. So a lot to look forward to already on Corrode.
Yeah, I'm also looking forward to see what OSU is going to go for in terms of their attack, because we saw their aggression working out very well in game 1, but with the tighter corners, it might be difficult for them to just run down whatever site they're looking to attack. Especially with the chamber, just the ability to do so much damage and then just get out with that teleport as well. Really going to be a big impediment to how OSU is going to go into this round, and it looks like they're just going to go for an A hit, a good pick, because it's just going to be Viper there as opposed to 2 players on mid and A main. And Moose looking to be pretty aggressive on this. He needs to be careful, because if Moose falls, that's going to be the entirety of this side of the map given up. And yeah, as soon as that Prowler comes out, it's just gonna have to run, barely surviving the initial engagement, but it's gonna fall, and Hamburger's gonna find 2. And now, we're only a couple seconds into this first game, and Terps are down 2-5.
And that Waylay will just get behind you before you even know what happened. Moose was not expecting that Waylay to be there so quickly, but Waylay is a really neat agent in that way.
Ooh.
As Jinho's able to just get a pick and avoid the flawless, but it was a really quick round number 1. Quick pistol. Terps gonna be forced into the save here and are looking at a pretty unfavorable start to Corrode here.
Yeah, I mean, this is what we were talking about. This has really been the match of aggression, and OSU showing that with such a quick round. And we see the Waylay going in with the Vandal. It's going to be very, very deadly, and it looks like Terps are not really going to have anything to answer for it, as we see 1 Sheriff. We'll see Chamber with his own Sheriff ability, but other than that, Terps are just going into this with classics. Jinho is going to need to go big here if he wants to make a difference for this round. Is he going to be able to get a pick? Inching forward.
Might just get the right timing to come his way. No, he TP's back to safety, one of the many benefits of playing Chamber. But meanwhile, looks like OSU full scale taking this A side, and the Terps are not in a position to respond as Jinho gets killed. It's going to make matters even worse here. Terps looking like they may cook up a flank even.
But it looks like OSU is not only ready for that, but actively preparing for it. Finally going to pull back just in time to not run straight into the Terps, but it doesn't matter because, I mean, you can see how difficult this is going to be for them to push. Moo's going to walk right into essentially that operator because of a lack of shields, and ZK1 with the Sheriff. I mean, you can save it if you want, but it's just going to be a loss of money. So going for the kill, not going to be able to find it, and we see the flawless that OSU was not able to get in round 1 now, and Terps are going to have to come up with an answer for OSU's side because, yeah, these first 2 rounds have been entirely one-sided.
And I see an Odin purchase from Sin in round number 3. That is gonna be a curveball for OSU to say the least. And this is a map that is a really good map to play Odin on because there's so many wall bangable angles and sites, even particularly when you think about P site. So I'm really stoked to see how he's able to use
We're gonna
that.
see a scuffle coming into mid, and Waylay walking all the way up to a link, but it doesn't matter because Yex is gonna be able to get a pick just by spraying through this smoke. Waylay going to be able to even out the odds, but taking a lot of damage for it, and Sin gonna be able to get another kill through the smoke. That's 2 for the Terps just in this round alone. Jinho looking to hold down this just central area, confining OSU to a site, and the Prowler is going to miss him. So is that Vice Util, but I would expect that they're not going to aggress this way anyway. And now they're going to go for the plant, and Terps are starting to set up for their retake.
Yeah, Spike is planted. Terps slightly have the numbers advantage going for them, and they do have their ideal weapons in hand, so this is really winnable if they're able to get the first couple picks to go their way, as Jinho does exactly that. Yex hoping to follow suit, but can't quite finish the job. Meanwhile, Jinho got another pick while all of that distraction was going on, but Spike still ticking here. Some Viper utility on it. Viper's gonna have to swing. Sin trying to help out his teammate and does exactly that as he finds the last pick to finally put the Terps on the board.
Yeah, I love the trust that Jinho had in Sind in that round. You could see that even as Jinho was actively fighting that Viper, Sind was just holding the bomb because he knew that Jinho would not let him die, at least not in vain. So just holding on to that spike and saying, you know, Viper, you have to make the move here. You have to push into us. You have to push into this 2v1, and they're just gonna be able to get that easy win, and Terps gonna be able to start bringing the momentum into their favor. But unfortunately, they are gonna have a little bit of a weaker buy as ZK1 is forced onto the judge. But you know, maybe there's a blessing in disguise just because that weapon can be so deadly.
And Sin's held on to his Odin. He's looking to use it, but Waylay's dashed right behind him and able to take down both him and Yex. What a rough way to start out this round. ZK1 just trying to make something out of nothing, but he gets killed as well. Suddenly, the Terps have completely lost control of any hopes of maintaining this B site. They've got to pull off a 2v5 uphill battle.
Yeah, this really is just being such a problem for the Terps. You can see how much util was dumped into that initial engagement. They were just not ready for the aggression that Waylay provides. And now the Terps probably just calling for a save. You can see that they're just, you know, holding the map as far away from the bomb as they can, and just hoping to bring what they can to the next round, because yeah, this is going to be almost impossible for them to win this round, especially at this point.
And you just hate to see those weapons get taken down so early into this map, because the economy is not built up to a space where you can confidently lose an Odin and still be able to recover. It's really going to hurt the Terps in terms of their economy in the next couple of rounds, and they found themselves in a 1-3 deficit, so not a lot of room here to try and pull off a thrifty. They're going to have to pull together a really haphazard buy here, able to hold on to 2 of their Phantoms, and the rest of the team just trying to buy whatever they possibly can to try and dig themselves out of this hole.
Really curious where that Viper smoke ended up going that forces such an interesting setup from Moose. Looks like it's just going to go to A main. I'm, curious why he doesn't just walk over there, place it down, and run back. But, with the amount of time that we see left on this clock, maybe that's just why. And it's going to be a pretty important Viper smoke as well, just because we see 4 players walking towards A. Chamber going to get 1 tap before he has the opportunity to teleport back to safety. And ZK1 has to be really careful. He's got the judge. He's prepared, but the question is whether or not OSU is as well.
Oh, and I like this judge play, and he does a lot of damage, but can't quite finish the job. It's really unlucky for the Terps, and the Terps just dying here on this A site, and the remaining 2 players really spread out. Moose is nowhere near his teammate Sind, and it's just gonna have to be a save yet again. And, the Terps have got to get back in this game before it gets too out of reach.
Yeah, it is exactly what we were seeing in map 1. The question is whether or not Terps are going to be able to show the same kind of comeback potential that we saw in that game. But for now, Moose is just going to hold back, and it is a great opportunity for the Terps to start talking about what they need. I think they're having trouble matching the aggression of OSU just because of how much pressure that Waylay provides by existence. OSU messing around a little bit, allowing that Viper to go down to the Vice ability. But yeah, the Terps I think need to let Waylay do Waylay things, because they're trying to catch him before he's able to make all that space, and it's just not really working, I think. And we're seeing a timeout now. I think that's a perfect time to call it.
Yeah, I agree. It seems like we're trying to take fights with this Waylay really early on, but it's difficult because you set up to take a fight with the Waylay, and then she's behind you, or she's way on the other side of the site. So I think it's kind of difficult to take an early fight with Waylay, just her being such a strong duelist. So like you said, I think that's something that has to change. And just in general, the Terps losing their individual fights, giving up site too easily, just these kind of classic issues that tend to come up on the defensive side. And this is a map that hasn't not been out for a super long time, so I think there is still room to adjust certain teams' play styles here.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're really seeing that play style development as well, because OSU has this thing that's working, and the thing that's working is dump a bunch of util and walk on the site, and it's a very day one kind of strategy. But we can see that the Terps don't really have any kind of response for it, at least not yet. And this is probably why we don't see Terps on this map super often, and maybe why OSU chose to take the Terps to this map to begin with. So if that's the reasoning, great pick by OSU, and is able to put them into the driver's seat as far as the beginning of this game is concerned.
Already we're seeing that Waylay utility come into fruition as the Waylay takes so much space up into mid, but Sin finally able to flip the script and get an early pick on that Waylay. Hopefully that's gonna lead to a different round outcome here for the Terps, as they're just still trying to stall here and not give up any space on the A site, forcing OSU to look towards B, where Moose is patiently waiting. One of the only players for the Terps with a real gun in hand for the last couple of rounds, and he's going to try to use it as Plant comes down. He catches eye on the Vice and gets that pick and backs up, and is not being too overly trigger happy there, which is really smart because it gives the rest of his team time to work off of that pick.
Yex walking slowly in mid is going to be able to catch 2 players off guard, but finally Yex is going to be able to put a stop to it. And now OSU is down players, and all of the players on Terps Esports have rifles, I believe, as well. So Terps are in a good position to take this back, but they have to go through the smoke, and now they have to go through this ultimate as well. Unfortunately, Sind is going to fall, and it's just up to Yex on 1 HP. A good shot on that, able to take out that player, but it's just up to this Omen. Is he going to be able to find it? There's not enough time anyway, and finally OSU is going to be able to take it up 5-1, and the Terps, they're struggling.
And you just hate to see it. That was the first round that, except from the round obviously the Terps won, that they've been really, really close there. Yeah. And it just came down to a matter of seconds. But Sin repurchasing that Odin, hoping to keep it for longer than last time. Terps able to muster up somewhat of a buy here to try and compete. Have a couple of ultimates online. They've actually already used Jinho's Chamber ultimate, so it looks like this is going to have to be a very expensive and important round here for the Terps.
Yeah, Jinho popping his ultimate, but I'm curious. He's kind of been there at the start of every single round. A beautiful timing by Yex, but he looks away. Why did he look away? Unfortunately, Omen is going to be able to find him, even though he had every reason to get that kill. Fortunately, the Terps are able to equalize it with a good pick from ZK1, and now a little bit of a no man's land, a really good angle from Moose, going to be able to give the advantage to the Terps, and now we see the Waylay ultimate coming out, but Jinho going to be able to put a stop to his aggression as he finds Viper, and it's all up to these last two players on OSU.
Jinho just making the most out of his ultimate, finding a two-piece with the help of ZK1 and that smoke to work in his favor. And like I said, the Terps put a lot into that round, both in terms of how they were spending and a couple of their ultimates there. So hopefully that's going to be the start of a bit of a run for the Terps here. And they've really got to start chipping away at this lead before they transition to the attack.
Yeah, absolutely. Every round that they win now is another round that they aren't going to have to win on attack, but we're seeing now finally OSU's changing it up, not going for mid or A, going towards the B site. We saw how effective that was in the beginning, but they opted to stop it a little bit, and we see Waylay getting ready to set up this attack that has been so effective, but it's going to get flashed and forced back out, and now it looks like the Terps are just going to be able to stop this engagement, and OSU is just going to be forced to back up.
Yeah, Fade ultimate used by the Terps. I don't know if it really caught any OSU players in a push. It kind of was a bad, unfortunate timing there as they were actually backed up into mid. Sind was expecting them to be backed up into mid though, and does die. That's a big gun taken out of the equation early on. Terps still in this round though, but they're awaiting for OSU's next move.
Yeah, they're ready for Jinho. Maybe something in the air told them to back up, and in fact, it looks like they're walking more towards mid, and it's a good pick because if Yex doesn't rotate in time, it's all up to that Viper to hold down sight, and with that smoke coming out now, it's going to allow for the Terps to be forced into this 2v4 situation. We'll see what kind of damage they're able to do to OSU before OSU takes control of the site, or maybe they're not going to at all.
And here they come, guns blazing on this B site where it's just a Moose,
Beautiful
but yet
shots.
up into heaven. Got an ace out of nowhere. Oh my goodness. That is going to go into his clips for the foreseeable future. Oh my
You do not
goodness.
need a firing squad. Yex just lined them up. Two
Holy.
clean headshots. And then I'm so glad we get a replay on this. Able to spray down the third. Beautiful shots. Gets the spray and gets the final kill.
Oh my god. Like, I got worried there because it just looked like it was Moose there on site, and it
Yeah.
was. Yex got the timing and showed up into heaven at just the right time and just caught all 5 of them. And, you know, I've seen Yex pull off a Neon Ace before, but it was with his ultimate. It was against OSU in, like, one of the first Valorant games I've ever casted here. So, very happy to see him still pulling off those aces against OSU.
Yeah, and that's really the kind of play, even outside of, you know, just the fact that they won the round that maybe they shouldn't have won anyway. You can see he's pretty happy about that. But it's also got to be huge for a mental. You know, an ace is it's definitely, you know, cause for celebration. And so the Terps have to be feeling good, even if they're at a round deficit here. And I think that OSU is maybe not feeling as good because, you know, they're calling a timeout here, even though, you know, they're up rounds.
Man, that was something else from Yex. And like you said, is going to, if that's not going to flip the momentum of the Terps here and they can get ahead, I don't know what is. That was a crazy play there and certainly gives the Terps a lot to be excited about as they head into this next round, where OSU actually splitting up more than they have previously. Jinho this time is the one with the operator in hand. TP's back to safety for the moment as ZK1 is the one to get a pick early on. And the Terps getting their individual picks here and dwindling OSU's numbers.
Yeah, I love that play by the Terps, allowing Chamber to back up and have that Omen for safety. And then the Omen also able to use the blind to allow for their retreat. And now Yex clearing into mid. And it looks like OSU just does not really have anything to show for the first 40 seconds of this round other than 3 dead players. And now their information is given up as well.
Oh, Jinho with the operator. It's just flawless from the Terps is the only way to describe it. That's just exactly how the Terps should enter that round after a stellar ace. everything is seemingly just going right for them. Look at their economy. Look at OSU's buy. Terps 2 ultimates on the board compared to OSU's 1. Finally, it's looking like a recipe for another comeback.
Yeah, this is a really interesting buy, I think, from OSU because they clearly don't have enough money to buy for next round. Some of these players, we saw at 400, but also they don't have a full buy this round. And compared to Terps' economy, it just seems like they don't have a lot to gain from this round and a lot to lose. But it's a really interesting position for this Omen to be in. In fact, that Waylay is going to be able to find somebody forced out and wasn't ready for that Waylay. Really, really aggressive play, gonna pay off. And now, you know, it looks like I'm gonna have to eat my words because the Terps are certainly down numbers, and you know, OSU has control of that operator as well. It's very concerning retake for them ahead of.
Sind has this Odin to work off of. If he can find a good angle to wallbang site, that could certainly flip the script on the Terps' retake efforts. He's going to throw down a lot of utility to try and get things started, and does pull off the wallbang and looks for a second Odin kill. Not quite going to find it. It just leaves Moose here. 1v2 has the Viper Pit available, has a lot of time to work off of as well. He's going to take an early swing, fake a defuse, and does get caught.
Wow, what a crazy round. That was, it seemed like it was such a good off angle and such a good opportunity for the Terps to just put another win into their belt, and with one good Waylay going to be able to find that Omen, and suddenly we see what happens when Omen is not there to hold Chambers back. We lost the splash to help Chamber get out, and we lost the protection of the teleport. So yeah, one good dash from the Waylay means basically an open sight and 2 free kills. And now Terps losing some of the momentum that they had going into this.
Oh, Moose and Yex being really aggressive. Moose getting picked off, but Yex still holding his cards close to his chest. Gonna swing out, find the pick on the Vice, and go back to safety of this B site. What a good start for the Terps here. I really like ZK's 1 positioning as well. He got unlucky with that smoke being there, but all the smokes have dissipated, and he has a clear vision on the fade, and everything is going right for the Terps for the most part, except them not having Moose anymore.
That's a little bit unfortunate. Waylay, I think, happy about that for good reason. Curious what happened with Chamber watching that with an op, but that's going to be the sign that OSU needs to start rotating back towards B. They need to be ready for Yex. Yex already going to be able to get a kill from a weird angle. Is he going to be able to double it up? But OSU opting instead to go back towards A, and it's a good call maybe because, yeah, Yex is just in such a strange position. Unfortunately, they are going to have to face this op again.
Yeah, Jinho patiently waiting for a push to come through. I like that he's been patient, and hopefully it's going to pay off in his favor. But they do have this Viper wall to work off of. Jinho still staying true to his op angle, pulls out the Sheriff and can't quite get away in time. But the damage has been done. He's able to take down one of those players. The positioning is sold out for OSU. Time is ticking, knowing that they have to invest this Viper pick. Sind and Yex have got to pull off a retake here. Sind with an Odin in hand.
Yeah, Odin definitely the weapon that you want to have against the Viper's Pit, but not the weapon you want to have if you're hindered by the Waylay ultimate. Now Yex with the knife out is going to be faced directly with a Viper, and that's going to be a death. And OSU going to be able to take 7 rounds and a half. Are they going to be able to make it 8? We'll have to see. But, you know, that is the scoreline that the Terps were able to put in Haven. So maybe we'll see a little bit of a repeat of that round. Hopefully not the outcome as well.
And it just feels like the Terps are doing so well. And the scoreline recently just is not reflecting that. And I think that's frustrating because, you know, we've had a couple of really insane plays and you feel like the Terps are right in this thing, and then you look at the scoreline and, you know, they do have just a few rounds to win before they can really consider themselves favorites here on Corrode. Yex gets things started with a really clean operator shot though as he's looking towards B main, backs up and just kind of waits for the remainder of these OSU players to trickle in. ZK1 maybe on the brink of a really good attack, but he does get picked off. And there's actually 2 operators in play for the Terps right now, which is a really risky play.
Yeah, Yax was a really aggressive position for this operator, but as soon as the smokes fade, suddenly it's just a long angle mid, and it's going to be able to find Viper. Chamber going to be able to avoid the Fade Eye and the Prowler, but unfortunately not going to be able to avoid everything, and is forced to back up into the safety of Yex's loving shorty. But now with the Vice finds Yex stuck in position, finally freed. We'll see what kind of retake we're going to see.
With the shorty in hand, there's a lot of potential for some really insane close plays, but he's got to get close to make that happen. Moose throws down the Viper Pit to try and buy his team a little bit more room. And Yex going to use that Neon ultimate that we've seen him be so deadly with and tries to make something work with it, although he gets picked off. Moose as well. Sin with the Odin in hand, trying to keep his team alive here. He's trying to push through. Time is ticking down beyond repair, though, and OSU still carries on with their lead.
And yeah, we're going to see 4-8 in favor of OSU. The question is whether Terps are going to decide that this map is attacker side or if they're going to decide that the map is OSU's. What are they going to bring into this pistol round? What are you hoping to see?
Honestly, I want to see them maybe do a fast push into A towards B site, or sorry, mid into B site. I feel like A gets really tricky on the pistol round, but with B site, there's more angles where I feel like you can hide and potentially pull off something like a right click with a classic in hand.
Yeah.
So a part of me does want to see them end B here.
We'll see, though. I think we've got 2 players mid and 2 players towards B, so that might be exactly what we're going to get. But this Fade kind of out of position, maybe. Fortunately, the smokes are there to allow them to aggress, and we see OSU pushing into, you know, some a never before seen angle. Terps never got this far in mid unless they were already in the retake phase of the round, and I'm not sure if the Terps are going to be ready for it.
And I do kind of want to see Yex push up here with the Sheriff in hand. Instead, it's going to be Sin in front of him who's the one to die. And Yex just taking a lot of damage on the other side of that fight. Finally, Jinho with that pocket Sheriff as part of his util kit, able to make some usage out of that. But Yex does get killed off into mid. Terps have lost mid control, but they're trying to get B control and plant this bomb. But they have to take care of this waylay.
Yeah, somehow able to just narrowly avoid all of the angles and gonna be able to pick off that Viper, stop the plant, able to find 2. It's just up to Jinho now with 1 shot left, not gonna be able to find anybody, and OSU is gonna be able to take this first round. And I really liked how OSU pushed, you know, Font in mid in a way that we did not see the Terps ever push. They maybe had somebody lurk through that initial smoke, but they never set up a wall like that and just pushed and really held it. And Terps did not really know what to do with it. Eventually they walked B, but they just had no space on the map that OSU was just able to walk their way straight onto B and retake.
And that's definitely just not how you want to see the Terps start off their pistol on the half switch, being down on their defensive side. They really have to dig deep here, buy whatever they can, as we can see with Stingers in hand. Sin able to capitalize off of that more hefty purchase there. So is ZK1, so maybe it's in the cards for the Terps here to get a bonus round cooking, but they are in a 3v3, 4-9 scoreline here. They have to act quickly. Jinho about to right click the heck out of this Vice and picks up their gun in the process.
And now OSU, they're down weapons. Oh, beautiful shot by Jinho. Gonna put that rifle in the hands of another Terp, and now it's just up to this Fade by themselves.
Terps are in a really good position here if Moose can catch this Fade off guard, but the Fade with a Vandal makes it very difficult. But they're only down to 17 HP thanks to Moose. As the Terps do have this bomb ticking, I really just want to see them play exactly like they are, being really, really passive here, waiting for that peek to come through, which is exactly what Jinho's going to do to buy them their first round win on attack.
Such a strong angle, and they're going to be able to pick up that Vandal, and OSU's kind of broke. You know, they bought multiple Vandals going into that round and ended them with -2, -1. I think only one of the players from the Terps were able to pick up a Vandal for this next round. But yeah, you can see that they do not have a strong buy at all. A couple shields, one gun that isn't a pistol, whereas the Terps, I believe, have just full Vandals and quite a lot of money in the bank as well, because they did not have to buy as many guns as they have in their hands.
Yeah, what an opportunity on a platter here for UMD if they're able to fully capitalize off of the advantage that they've earned here, as Jinho acts first, gets a pick, TP's back to safety. Great way to start off this round, but the job is not done. Terps on attack have not made much leverage onto either site. They're waiting for these pushes to come through instead. Is this going to work out for them, though? We will have to see how the rest of this round unfolds.
Yeah, and I really like the way that they're playing this. Chamber allowing some aggression, able to get one pick, and then just backs up. Doesn't even bother taking advantage of the Vice who shot the Chamber trip. And now we see all 5 players regrouping towards B, and it's just the Vice there with no util available. Gonna get the flash, but, you know, compared to a full line of Vandals, that's not going to be enough.
And I kind of want the Terps here. Obviously, hindsight 2020, we can see where the defensive players are. Go take this B site. There's just the Vice there. As soon as they get a read on that, there's only one player. They're going to go full send in, which is exactly what we're seeing right about now, with only 30 seconds left as they're able to plant this bomb and set up a retake, as ZK1 spots both of OSU's defensive players there, taking down a lot of HP in the process, but not enough to quite get the kill. It will be Yex instead who finds that pick with a Phantom in hand. Terps waiting for this push to come through, not being aggressive, but not a guarantee for a round win there. You've still got to find those picks.
Yeah, Terps kind of not playing that as safely as I would have wanted them to. I'm not sure why, if you have a Vandal, that you're going to swing with a pistol into 2 players on the enemy team, but it did not end up working. Fortunately, Terps Esports able to accrue enough of an advantage that they were able to fight through it anyway, but yeah, I mean, that was not as clean of a win as you would have assumed from that player, these players.
For sure, you kind of want to see them play really safely, and like you see Yex walking on site and getting killed up from heaven. Those kind of picks can be avoidable, you know, if you play really safely. Obviously, didn't matter in the end. Terps got that round win, but I fully agree. But here we are into the next round. Already the Terps have used Jinho's Chamber ultimate, as OSU is just quietly scaling up towards A site, where Moose is the only one who's really positioned.
Yeah, another great call. All 5 players angling to attack straight into this one solo Viper. As soon as this wall goes down, that's going to be the go-ahead for Terps Esports to start pushing in. We finally see the Waylay walking towards site, towards the back of A, but it's really just this Viper. Finally, Omen is there to defend, but Viper's lost a lot of health, and Terps are able to walk their way past that first main choke.
Oh, and Yex just dancing around this angle, using all of his neon utility to get his way onto this site, but he does get picked off, and the rest of the Terps come crumbling down with him. Jinho still has that Chamber ultimate and is looking for his first pick with it, and he's gonna get just that. But there's 3 more players that stand in the way of him and the Spike, which is nowhere near him. And he just has this operator in hand. It's a really tough battle here for Jinho to win.
Does still have 4 shots compared to the 3 players left. It is absolutely not losable. And finally, Jinho is going to be felled by that enemy Viper. And OSU is going to be able to take their first round of the half after that initial pistol round. So Terps finally finding the limits of their momentum, and they're going to have to find another initiation for that.
And, you know, this is kind of the stages where we want to see the Terps close in on that lead. OSU only needs 3 more round wins to send us into a map number 3. And that's not what the Terps want to happen, considering the absolute showing that they had on to Haven. So right here, right now, the Terps got to start getting back into this game, and not looking good off rip as Yex gets killed. Oh, and this Waylay just charging through, absolutely causing such destruction for the Terps attack. Moose gonna be the first one of the Terps to finally respond, as Jinho's fighting his own battle here on the other side of the map. And it's just a quick and decisive round for OSU, and you hate to see UMD just further increase this deficit.
Yeah, we finally see that Waylay activating like we saw in the first half of the match, and Terps opting to go into timeout, and I think that's a great call because they had something cooking and it was really working, and I think they lost it.
For sure, they seemed to be in their element when they went on that run of 3 round wins, but like you said, just out of their element right now. You know, they're losing each round really early into the round. It seems like they lose that mid push, that Waylay aggression, whether it's that or they gamble wrong. It's just these rounds are decided so early. I kind of want to see the Terps just try and, hold their cards a little bit closer to their chest, not give up their positioning, wait, because they're losing these early round fights.
Yeah, and you can see that the players have kind of lost some of the energy that they had going into that Haven match. It was such a nail-biter, but now that the adrenaline is kind of worn off, you can see that it's really showing in their gameplay, I think, as well. They're kind of letting OSU just, jump into their faces with those shorties like we saw with Waylay, and I think they're gonna need to find something for that aggression because, OSU, they were stopped and they found their way around those obstacles, and now it's the Terps' turn to find something back.
All right, Jinho with an operator as the Terps trying to overwhelm this Viper. Yex responds first and is going to try and use his utility to scare any other defenders away from the site, but he's locked alone thanks to that Vice Wall. Doesn't look like it's going to be an issue, though, as the rest of his teammates can quickly follow with that Fade ultimate in hand. B-Site has the Terps' name written all over it, but they've got to keep it that way.
A jump peek from Jinho gonna end up causing his death. A little bit of an interesting choice, I think, but Terps Esports still in a great position to retake this. It's going to be very hard for OSU to even walk mid just because they're going to walk right into the lineup for that Odin, and Yex kind of forced to back up even further. Pat going to find ZK1, and now OSU is going to be able to have the advantage in terms of players.
Austin just trying to make things work with an Odin, although when you have 2 players staring down at you, it's nearly impossible. And now we definitely see a bit of a grim scoreline here at 6-12. We are likely looking at a map number 3 unless the Terps are able to pull off just an insane comeback.
Yeah, but it's going to be tough, even just one round, because we are not going to have a full buy. Jinho finally, he doesn't have money, and every other time that we've seen him this low on cash, he's had his operator in hand, but this time, no such luck, as he's just going to go into this round with his Pocket Guardian, it seems. Yex does have their ultimate, so the Bucky should be more than enough for them as well, but we'll see what UMD is going to be able to do, and the aggression is going to be put to a stop as Yex is going to find that Waylay with the Bucky, and now engaging with the ultimate. We'll see if he's going to be able to make any space into it, but Terps forced to just back up thanks to that Vice ultimate, and somehow some time to breathe after the insane beginning that this round had.
And it's always the Waylay. I feel like that's causes problems for us in the early round. Yex finally was able to find that trade, but had to burn his ultimate back up as a result of that Vice ult. And like you said, a bit of breathing room here as Yex does get killed. Still not impossible for the Terps, but they have no room for error here at all. And it's
finally, Jinho going to be able to get 1, going to be able to get 2. Is he going to be able to get into sight? Unfortunately, just picked in the back, and Terps are going to lose this 6-13. Not a ringer of a match like we saw in game 1, and the Terps are going to have to figure out something for game 3.
Yeah, this is one of the first times in the studio this semester we have head to a map number 3. So we've had a really exciting series so far, and I'm really excited to see what map number 3 has in store. So make sure you guys tune in after this quick break.
See you then.
My name is Subin Kim. My in-game name is Carrots, and I'm the controller of this team.
My name is Hannah. My IGN is Tuxedo Sam, and I play Sentinel for the team.
My name is Sima. My in-game name is Care Bear, and I'm a flex.
My name is Megan. My IGN is Giraffe, and I'm an initiator.
My name is Sophia. My IGN is Soap, and I'm an initiator.
Hi everyone, I'm Ayush. My in-game name is EXO, and I'm the coach.
For me, I think it was just really interesting to see like our names on like social media and like on a website. I'm just like, whoa, my name is on a website but so I think that was like the number one thing that kind of like just it brought the realization of like what kind of team I'm in, like what kind of position I'm in.
Meeting them. It's like hard to make a woman and non-binary friends in Valorant, so it's just really nice that we have like a team specifically for that.
The studio.
Yeah. Oh, the studio.
The
Oh,
studio.
I didn't even know that existed. I didn't know that existed until like remember like when we first talked about the studio, I was like, what's that? When I first went to the room, I was like, oh, there's cameras and lighting. I'm just like, that's
Nice computer.
Nice computer.
The monitors
So
are crazy.
true. Winning sounds fun, and then yeah, I play Valorant too much. I mean, first of all, I did not imagine me being IGL when I first started because I am outside of my Lilac team. I am known as the no brain, only aim chamber in comp. So I did not imagine myself being IGL. But like, I think it's like there were some difficulties in the beginning because I wasn't used to giving out comms. I was just very confused. But I think now it's just like the amount of trust that my teammates give me when I give out comms and the amount of like coordination that we have. Like I just love being like IGLing because I trust that things will work out.
Welcome back, everybody. We have such a treat in store for you. A very exciting Game 3 after a nail-biting Game 1 and a brutal Game 2. We'll see how the Terps are able to respond, but we're going into Sunset. I know that this is a comfort pick for the Terps. A lot of them are going to be able to play the characters that they are most comfortable with, and hopefully that's going to be able to bring them back into this match after a lot of momentum that they lost from Game 2.
That's exactly right. Everything is up for grabs in map number 3. Go big or go home for the Terps. And like you said, I kind of heard them talking over the break saying, everyone, just go back to your comfort picks this map. Don't do anything you're not comfortable with. We really need to go back to our fundamentals here to win map number 3. I see Yex hovering Sage. That is very funny.
Maybe they're getting a little bit too comfortable. Surely we're not going to end up seeing Yex on Sage. But you know what? I'm always ready to be surprised. We're seeing pretty similar picks out of both teams, going for that Cypher. And interestingly, we're seeing a Sova versus a Breach. Breach not similar to Sova at all in terms of their ability to initiate fights. Sova more for information, whereas Breach just says, okay, you can't see, and also you're dead already. So a very interesting asymmetry that we're going to see going into this round, as everything else looks to be pretty similar.
And the Terps are going to be starting this one off on the defense. And we have a Reyna from Yex. Really interesting pick. And honestly, I think the first time I've seen a Reyna being played in the studio this semester, Reyna is not a super meta agent anymore. She used to be way back when, episode 1 and 2, basically. But now I'm really excited to see how Yex is able to use her kit. And the reason why I think Reyna is not super meta is she's basically useless unless you're getting picks. You can't use her utility, with the exception of her flash, unless you have gotten a pick. So it's a really high risk, high reward agent, but I think that is the kind of grab here that the Terps need.
Yeah, this is exactly what we were talking about in our interview with Yex to start this, is that sometimes as a duelist, you just need to say, I'm going to get kills. Because truly, that is your role. And sometimes you need to have the opportunity to get, like you need to be able to get value out of your playstyle without getting kills. But sometimes you just need to get those kills. And we'll see Yex on the Reyna hopefully going to be able to do that as we're going now into the game. Starting Sin going with a scanning dart that's equalized by OSU, and OSU starting to work their way into A.
Yeah, they're trying to squeeze in through elbow here. Sin still has eyes on this elbow push and is able to take down that Neon, although he does lose his life in the process. Meanwhile, Yex working in from mid. Jinho really just holding down the fort on this site, only leaves this Omen. Jinho with the 3-piece to start things off for the Terps, but I think we're heading into maybe a tech pause for OSU.
Yeah, but that's definitely the start that the Terps need. We were talking about how, whether or not they're going to have momentum, whether or not they're going to have aggression going into this, whether or not Jinho is going to be able to get kills. And we see all of those questions are answered already because, we see Jinho getting that opening pick, as well as the Terps going for a very, very dominant round win to start off this match.
Yeah, and Jinho has some really nice stats. I think that's actually the second highest ACS on the team, so he certainly is a really important player to this roster, and I actually think we did not enter a tech pause like we were expecting as Sin gets picked off in the early round.
Yeah, an unfortunate shot, but they're going to back up and allow the Terps to get those weapons and kind of neutralize as Yex is going to be able to get that pick onto that Neon, and that's actually a really big pick because they're going to not have as much of an opportunity to engage into this. And yeah, Moose is going to be able to mow them down with one good spray out of the Spectre, and we see so much confidence out of the Terps this game. This does not look like the same Terps that we had 10 minutes ago when they were on Corrode.
Yeah, and I can just speak from, being amongst the players during the ad break between maps. I came out of the casting booth, the energy was low, not a lot of communication. And then I get ready to go back in the casting booth and I hear Yex go, like, come on, boys, like, come on, like, this is where we win, and it's just a different energy shift. And I think that's what we're seeing. Side note, also, I love seeing Yex play on that Reyna. That's exactly the kind of plays I love seeing. Getting a pick, dismissing away. Looks so dang cool, and I'm happy to see it here on Sunset.
Unfortunately, both of the duelists on Terp's side going to get mowed down a little bit. A cheeky swing from Moose going to be able to find that Sova, but Terps still down 3-2. It's now ZK1 able to find that breach as well, and the Terps are going to be forced with a little bit of a weapons disadvantage, but maybe a macro advantage. Is ZK1 barely going to whiff that shot? Is he going to be able to teleport away? Finally he is, and we see that Moose is going to be able to pick up the rifle mid as well. Not quite going to be able to find the shots onto Neon. Any one of those would have been able to take that kill. Now the smoke's coming out. Neon playing around with the spike a little bit, but finally he's going to get it down. And the question is whether or not ZK is going to be able to get this. Maybe rotating towards mid. It's going to cost a lot of time out of this retake, but what we lose in time, he will make up for in a surprise factor that could be very, very important.
Yeah, and the health on the Neon's actually really low. With a Guardian in hand, you only need one body shot to kill that Neon, but it's a headshot regardless. This is certainly winnable for ZK1. It would be a 4K if he's able to pull it off. Spike taking down. He's got to act quickly, smoke himself off for a little bit of extra coverage. Gonna tap the Spike, and at least half of it by the looks. No, gets off of it off the half and finds that pick.
Is there time? Is there time?
Clutches, yeah.
Gonna be able to find it with a minute and 20 left, and a beautiful play by ZK1, perfectly getting the timing out of the smoke as the enemy Omen walks into it as well. I cannot believe that he made that. I didn't think that he had the time at all.
Oh. Yeah, just smiles across the board. Again, it's nice to see these players warm up to the game again, get into the groove again, and it's these clutch scenarios that have really gotten them there. Really star moment from ZK1 to increase the Terps lead to 3-0.
Yeah, this is not a round start that we've had at all this match. The Terps have been on the back foot of each of the games that we've played so far. And Yak's going to be able to find another kill. Doesn't need to use the ability to get out. And in fact, he's just going to walk their way back into this position. Going to be able to find one. Is he going to be able to find a second one? Not yet, as he opts to reload. And we see the blast packs coming out from this Raze, walking their way down mid. And with the smoke, with the flashes coming out, the players from OSU are going to be forced into ZK1's crosshair. It's all up to Pat. Yes, he walks his way onto site, but he doesn't have Spike. And frankly, he does not have a good prospect of winning this round, as Yex is going to be able to swing and get that one tap. And yeah, the Terps look untouchable so far in this round.
Yeah, just a massacre in mid off rip. Yex instantly peeking into market through mid, finds 2 with the Outlaw to start off that round. Gonna prompt a timeout for OSU, but there's no better way to have started this off for UMD so far.
Yeah, the tune is completely different from what we've seen. The Terps are absolutely making Ohio sweat a little bit in the way that they just have not yet in this match. Even in the nail-biter of game 1, I mean, right now what's going on with the Terps is just pure confidence and ease. It does not look like they're struggling very much, and that is very, very important going into this because, you know, it is their map pick, and, you know, with their backs against the wall like it is, if they lose this game, they're going to lose the match. This is what they need.
For sure, this is the start that you need in map number 3 against, you know, a school you've played so much. They know some of these players, you know, we know some of the production staff over there. It's just such a tight-knit league, I feel like, in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
So, you know, you have to come out swinging in map number 3. If you're going to put up that good of a showing in map 1, lose by a lot in map 2, there's no better place to come back than right here.
We'll have to see what OSU has in store for the Terps now. Maybe some sort of surprise coming out of the timeout. But Jinho, a lot of aggression here, opting to just back up with that Sova recon dart coming out, and maybe a bit of a slow take towards A. They're gonna have to walk right into Moose's Cypher setup though, so we're finally maybe going to see how much deadly potential he has on this agent.
And this setup is absolutely brutal here on this B set. I think OSU figuring that out, getting triggered by all of those trips coming their way, but they've managed to work their way around it, get this bomb planted, and Moose has awaited patiently for the rest of his team to join him into Bova. But the Terps are getting picked off, just destroyed by that Neon ultimate. It's just Yex, and it's an ace by OSU's Neon. Pulled a Yex there.
Yeah, how long was that ace? Took maybe 10 seconds from the first goal to the second. That was just a really, really good timing from that player using the stun and also walking straight through that raise grenade and just saying, you know, you guys are not going to be ready for this. And you know what, they weren't, as he's going to be able to get 5 for that round and finally give OSU some life that we haven't seen from them yet. So maybe this could be the start of a comeback from OSU, or maybe the Terps just had one little slip up and they're going to come right back into this game. So we'll have to see going into the game, round number 5.
OSU, guns blazing on this A site. Sin responds, although he gets traded. Yex with an operator in hand, trying to pick off these players before they even find their way onto site. And what a quick round for the Terps. Jinho, Yex, Sin, all doing their part. That round was over before it felt like it even started.
Yeah, there's nothing that shows how different this game has been to every other game that we've had in this series so far, as that Neon sliding in with the stun against that Sova, and Sova just killing her anyway. We have not seen that kind of aggression be shut down by the Terps so far in this game, and so I think that's really emblematic of how different the Terps are feeling going into this.
Just so much confidence, so much swag there from the Terps. Hopefully they're able to do the same thing this time. Same MO from Ohio State. They're pushing onto this A site. Are the Terps have a different outlook as ZK1 gets picked off early. Jinho trying to hold some ground into elbow. Meanwhile, the plant comes through, and the Terps are going to have to retake this time. Oh, from elbow, there's just so many players that way as Jinho catches the wrong side of a bullet as Moose trying to retake, makes one pick go in his favor, has a cage to work with, and that Cypher ultimate to use to sell out OSU. Yek's gonna use that to his advantage, so is Moose. They found their way onto this site, but OSU's trying to respond with that Sova ultimate, and it's just the Sova for OSU, but the defuse is coming through from the Terps. Moose trying to stay on this bomb. It doesn't matter. Yex found that pick anyway, and the Terps are just in such epic fashion here.
Yeah, such a good retake. It seems as if the Terps can do no wrong. Yeah, they let that Neon slip through the cracks that one round, but every other round, they've just been playing so well. They've been playing like a team. They've been winning their 1v1s, and they're not giving OSU a single inch at all. So it's no wonder that they've been taking just miles and miles in this game. And so now OSU, I mean, it looks like they're running it down A, hopefully third time's the charm. And it seems as if the Terps are maybe not as prepared this round as they were in others to take this kind of hit. But, I mean, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again. And we'll see whether or not OSU's proven insane. His bot is going to fall. And OSU has used their ultimates, and they've made their way out the site, and all they have to show for it is being down a player.
Yeah, they're trying to do the same play call, but are the Terps able to hold them off for a third time in a row? That's how it looks like the cards are unfolding here. Jinho uses that raise rocket, finds a pick from it as well, satchels out, tries to just do as much damage and as quickly as possible. The Terps have found their way to the spike, and they're gonna try to get that defuse cooking up, and all the puzzle pieces are fitting together for the Terps so quickly. It's like bam, 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 bam. The Terps already up 6 rounds.
Yeah, it looks like they're playing as if they just realized that they left their oven on or something. Every single one of these rounds has been over before it feels like it even really started, and somehow the Terps are coming out every single round beneficially. Jinho doing just a great job of holding down this spike. I mean, Yex with a great spray here, and every single clip that we've seen is just the Terps playing well and defeating the members of OSU. There's not really a lot more to be said so far, and we'll see if OSU finally switching it up and going towards B, but I have to imagine Terps are ready for this as we see Reyna with the operator. Is he going to peek further? Somehow doesn't hit that shot, and finally the Terps do God's bleed, or maybe we're going to find out here.
Suddenly, the Terps not looking like they have an answer for this B site. It's just such a quick round down to a 2v2 Cypher ultimate used for OSU. They still haven't gotten this bomb down, but they are sure as heck trying to. ZK1 making that job very difficult, working alongside Moose to find this breach who's tucked away in this corner onto site. They do have spike control, but they're not going to be able to plant it because they don't have control unless they're able to take down both Moose and ZK1 down to 5 HP. This breach trying to run away. ZK1 does not want to let that happen, but they let that breach get away, and now they've got to run to A site or potentially sniff out this double back.
A good fake by that breach, opting to double back towards B, but we have that Cypher cam ready, and Cypher is just a stone's throw away from the site as well, so even though Omen is far away, he's got the teleport if he needs to get back.
30 seconds left.
And we can see we happen to have the advantage of seeing this breach getting ready, but finally Moose is going to have the information. We see the teleport from Omen coming in as well. Is he going to be ready? Breach playing aggressive, and he's going to be able to get one pick, but he's only got 1 health left. He's going for the tap, and he's going to get shot in the back. Terps are going to be able to get this round as well. Finally one that took more than 30 seconds, but still Terps ending the round just having just being able to pick up that operator and go into the next round as well. And you know, even though OSU was able to bring that into a 1v1, I'm just gonna say it did not feel like that was an even round.
Yeah, it felt like the whole time you kind of knew the Terps were going to win. As soon as it came down to a 1v2 in that breach, just them knowing exactly where they were positioned, just you know, you kind of had to have faith in the Terps that they're able to pull off that 1v2, and they were able to do exactly that. But looks like, yet again, OSU going to try and take this A side aggressively, and yet again, it hasn't worked out well from them, at least from the start of this round. This time, Jinho forced it back out of elbow. He's trying to get some of that space back, as Yex has held onto this operator for so many rounds. It was actually an outlaw this time, but nonetheless, those long-range weapons, he's able to just do so much damage with.
And, you know, now that dust has settled, smokes are finally going down. You know, all that's happening is that Jinho is getting another pick towards that A site, and OSU has nothing to show for it. Yax is going to be able to get another pick. Still has the operator, finds the last player, gets one tap, but you can see he's not really pressed about it. There's still 4 players of the Terps alive, and the only big question is whether or not they're going to pick up that operator. Finally, Sova trying to just figure out some way to win this round, but the door is closed. He has to walk through mid, but that opens its own set of problems, and I'm just not sure if he has enough gas in the tank to bring this round back.
And if the Terps are able to win this one, like it looks like they should be able to do, it would put them at 9-1, which is the biggest lead that we have seen in this series so far. And it's just exactly when the Terps need it to be, which is map number 3.
Yeah, and, you know, they're still going to have the operator going into this. OSU is not going to have a lot of money. At best, they'll have a full buy, but if that gets broken down, they're going to be going broke into almost overtime. The best that they can hope for is a 9-3 scoreline, and that's just not very good. It's going to be an uphill battle, best case scenario for OSU, borderline unwinnable, and the Terps don't seem like they're showing any reason why it might look any other way.
Bit of a cool play there, just Sin playing right over the shoulder of Jinho. Did not quite work in their favor, and they've actually given up a lot of real estate into mid. It's going to lead to a B hit from Market. Sin able to get that pick he was looking for, is going to have to pay for it in the form of his life, though, as trades are actually coming through, and the Terps find themselves a numbers down for the first time in a while, and that Neon ultimate making it so difficult, and that's just going to continue to be the problem for the Terps. And it seems like the only way that OSU has won these 2 rounds has been because of that Neon ultimate.
Yeah, we'll see if they're going to be able to put an end to that pattern. Finally, we're going to get a bit of an even round, but like even now, Breach on the side of OSU is not going to have enough money for a rifle and full shields. It's going to be it's such a tough round for them even now, even after having won a round, because the Terps are just so dominant for so long, and going into this last round, they basically can buy whatever they want, even though, yeah, they just lost the last round. But, you know, again, the scoreline is 9-2. That tells about as much of the story as you need it to.
And OSU trying to just do something similar as they did in the last round, really overwhelm mid there and potentially look towards Market, but they've neglected the spike for the moment. And look how spread out the Terps are. They're really trying to catch OSU, pushing up through mid, and that's exactly what Yex does, although he's not able to make anything of it. So Sin gonna use that Sova ultimate, just does the damage, even finds a pick too to equalize things for each side, and finally some breathing room it feels like in this round.
Yeah, really good tracking from Sova, able to equalize that round. I'm curious whether or not OSU is ready for such a ratty position for ZK1 to play in. Pat is going to be able to find one and finds the second one as well. Omen not opting to teleport, and now the Terps are on damage control, seeing if they're going to be able to get this flank going, but you know, they know where that Sova is, and any second now they'll realize that Raze has to be with him as well on the flank. So 2 players, somehow Sin is going to be able to find one, Jinho finds the other, but there's still Pat in Market, and that's going to be a 9-3 scoreline. So Terps up by a lot, but not as dominant as they looked in the beginning. Fortunately, this halftime switch should be able to reset any kind of momentum we have, and hopefully the Terps are just going to be able to take this new reset and run with it.
Yeah, it could have been a lot worse for Ohio State. You know, I think winning those last 2 rounds, with one of them being because of largely that Neon ultimate in the last round there, they actually looked really cohesive as a team. So they have actually done themselves a favor here to put it at a 9-3 scoreline, because it was not looking like it was going to be that way for the majority of that half. regardless, the Terps are on attack now, and, you know, just with how they've been looking on the defense, I would expect nothing but complete aggression here.
Yeah, we see a lot of aggression coming towards A, but maybe learning from OSU's mistakes, they're going to leave the spike mid, and they're going to get ready to rotate. It's ready for this aggression from the Cypher. Finally, it's become a scramble as the drone is going to come out. It's going to clear that Cypher, and Cypher's forced to run all the way back to Spite, although I think Jinho is over-aggressed just a little bit as he's going to fall to that Cypher, and now the Terps are going to have to find something in this round because they're not going to be able to get the spike down here. All of the players from Ohio State have been able to regroup here already.
And the Terps have found their way onto site, like you said, but they're having a hard time keeping it that way with that Omen and the Breach wreaking havoc through the Terps attack line. And that's how it gets started for OSU potentially. Winning that pistol round could be the thing that flips the script.
Yeah, the Terps have kind of entered this state where sometimes when you're doing really well in a game, you start to get a little bit comfortable, and as soon as the other team figures out something, all of that comfort just gets pulled out from under you. And I think that's what the Terps are experiencing. I think that they need to reset. This is no longer the game that we had in the beginning where the Terps could do whatever they want. This is now a game where the Terps need to lock in and play intelligently because I think they're over-aggressing right now and it's really costing them.
And they're just trying to do a little bit of a different play call here, be really quiet, hide into their smokes here into mid. I think the Omen definitely has an idea of that happening, though. Omen not quite able to land a shot yet. He's going to push through the other side of the smoke. The Terps are not expecting it, though. Still, they're able to hold on to their lives, but they are hunting for this Omen, and they might file in right into the Cypher's trap into Boba. That's exactly what it ends up being with that Guardian. It's so difficult to go against that with just a Sheriff in hand. Yex trying to get a couple of kicks, knowing that that push has to come in through Boba, gets 2, but is it going to be enough to push this round in favor for the Terps? Not quite.
You know, that was probably to be expected. Of course, OSU having a full buy, and I think the Terps for the first time in this game after losing the first pistol round decided to just, you know, use whatever pistols they had and try to do some damage to the economy. And so now they're going to be able to go into this next round with a full buy, and I really like the way that they played that round. They played it slow, they played it methodically, and they were able to get smart picks. And even though they lost, like I think that round was a win in my book if I'm on the Terps.
Yeah, because look at their buy now. They're coming into this round full buy, full shields, and they don't really have much money to spare. So this has got to be a round win for the Terps, I think, if they want to keep up this momentum that they've had.
Absolutely. You see all 5 of them walking slowly. This Neon starting to maybe smell that something's up because that aggression towards A is completely uncountered as Jinho is already walking his way through the Cypher cages, and Pat's going to be able to find 1, able to find 2. Is anybody going to be able to find him? Finally, ZK1 is there. Has the spike, but opting not to plant because they need to stop this aggression that's coming from all sides. Somehow, OSU has become the attackers, and they're going to be able to run over the Terps, and they're going to be able to win this round. And the Terps are going to be pretty low on money here. They need to take a second, breathe, and after this round, that's when they really need to strike again.
And that's a tough round to lose. And I kind of like that Coach Napasso is not calling a timeout right here because I don't want the Terps, because I feel like a timeout, if you're on the opposing team to the other team that's calling a timeout, I feel like it's a moral win for you. You're like, yes, like we're making them shake a little bit. We're making them have to reassess their like game plans. And I like that the Terps aren't really giving that to OSU. Saying, hey, like, no, we're still in the lead. We've lost a couple of rounds. We're going to get right back in this thing.
Absolutely. And especially because really what the Terps need to hear right now, and I'm sure it's what they're telling themselves, is just take a breath. This is absolutely still a good round, a good situation to be in. They're up 9 rounds to 6. They all have Sheriffs, which have such killing potential, even if they're on a save. There's still a good position. They're able to find 1. They have the advantage in this round. They're able to find 2 players mid, and now they're starting to walk their way over towards A. And it's a smart regroup, but it's going to be called out by the enemy Omen with his ultimate.
Terps being really, really quiet here before walking onto this A site. They've got to watch out for this Breach, who's pushed up into elbow with a Vandal in hand. ZK1's going to be one to swing it and actually comes out on the other side of that fight alive. That is certainly going to help the Terps' case here on this A site as they're able to get this bomb down no problem.
You can see Yex, the match MVP, given the shininess of his weapon, and you know, we've seen that. We were questioning whether or not Reyna would be able to get value, but he's just been doing so much. Jinho behind this box. I'm not sure if OSU is ready for it, but frankly, they've got bigger fish to fry as Reyna has popped his ultimate. And they need to figure out where they are first and foremost, and then second of all, not die to it.
Spike is ticking and time is dwindling for OSU. Looks like that, knowing that, they are just going to run away here, try to hold on to their weapons. Jinho does not want to let them have any bit of that though, but this Omen just causing so many problems. Regardless, Terps finally able to get that pick, holding on to 3 of whatever weapons they were able to pick up off the ground, and hopefully that's gonna be the flip that we needed.
Yeah, and I really liked the call from them. You know, I was kind of questioning whether or not their aggression was founded, but at the end there, that was just a smart play. They lost 2 sheriffs and they gained 1 vandal, and frankly those sheriffs weren't going to be doing much for them in this next round anyway, so just a good job of taking weapons out of their opponent's hands. And now the Terps looking to maybe start establishing some of that dominance that they had in the beginning. Scan coming out, ZK1 going to be able to find somebody, but not going to be ready for the double up that there is mid here, and the Terps might not be able to take advantage of the position that Hamburger has found himself in.
Oh my goodness, another really, really quick round. Moose, the only Terp left alive. 2 insane shots there off the bat for Terps. Can he keep it going? He has every intention to with that Cypher ultimate, but no. His reaction is so funny. Just, those were some really nice shots. I think he had a lot of momentum going there.
Yeah, I think he felt like maybe somebody had called to him, someone higher, because he was able to get those 3 one-taps, but unfortunately just barely missing that shot. If he had won that, he would have had information. He would have had, you know, a hot streak going, and he probably would have been able to have a chance at flipping that round. Unfortunately, not quite going to be able to do it. And I fear that I saw some of what we did not want to see from the Terps coming out in that round. You could see them funneling one by one, each taking their own turn to just kind of take their own chance at fighting the stronghold that there was in mid, instead of saying, hey, they're really fighting mid, let's just regroup somewhere else, or hey, they're all regrouping mid, let's attack it together. And unfortunately, they paid the price for it. So I think there's a really good timeout, waited for after the Terps were able to get their footing back, and now they're hearing what they need to hear, I hope.
And they're so close here. Don't look at Moose. No, it's okay, Moose. They're so close to winning the series. They need 3 more rounds. They can do it. I think this is a really good breather here. Yex just having a great game, 20 kills, highest of the lobby. You know, they have everything in their power here to take home the series.
Yeah, they just need to find it, and we'll see if they're able to do that in this round. We do see one of the players from the Terps not having a weapon. We're going to see a lot of aggression here as a bunch of util dumping. In fact, some ultimates going to be called out. Somehow Jinho managing to avoid that second Sova there, but it doesn't matter because we see this breach coming out. Moose going to be able to find somebody with the sheriff that I was talking about. I was saying that it might not be as big of a play as big of a role in this round as the other weapons, but I'll eat my words. And Moose has walked his way all the way onto site somehow. Unfortunately, just not quite going to be able to find that neon. He's not happy with that at all. I wouldn't be either, but you have to be happy about the fact that the Terps have found their way onto site, and this is a good position for them to be in. Okay, I take it back.
Oh no, that neon ultimate actually able to get taken down by Yex quickly. ZK1 almost had a glimpse of a crazy shot there, and OSU just still like marching forward here, still dwindling this lead that the Terps have built.
Yeah.
And consistently in this map, we have seen the culture of this map be quick rounds.
Yeah.
Just so much aggression, so much. It's been such an intense map.
Absolutely. Yeah, I I really hope that the Terps are going to be able to keep their mental here, because you know that after that round, Moose is kicking himself a little bit. He had the opportunity to have such a pivotal pick. It ended up being that Neon that was the thorn in the side of the Terps after they got down that plant. So maybe things could have been different. Moose is surely saying to himself, and that's not what he needs to hear right now. What he needs to hear right now is things will be different going into this next round. As if Terps lose this, it's very possible that OSU is going to be able to equalize this round count and claw their way back into a good position.
Yeah, just trying to slow things down here, it looks like, from both sides, at least for the moment. Although the Terps are kind of stacked up into mid. Moose looking B site. There is a Cypher set up there. So they're going to try their luck into mid, potentially hit A if they need to, especially with Moose getting picked off. I think that's going to make A look a little bit better. But finally, we see a bit of a quiet round.
Yeah, it's lasted more than 30 seconds before anything has really happened. Unfortunately, Moose did get picked A main, and Yex is going for a swing, maybe just trying to bait out some aggression from mid, as another smoke is going to come out, and the Terps are going to be able to reevaluate where they're going to push. It seems as if they're regrouping A for just a solid A hit, but they are down a player, so they're going to need something of a hero play to turn the tide. A really heads-up play from that Cypher, not peeking the Omen, just trusting that he's going to be able to get that pill, and now it's just all up to Yex.
And he, gets a pick. I think the HP's low on the other side. It's doable, but it's going to be really difficult here, as OSU is just trying to rush him and completely overwhelm him. And I can just feel that there's so much disappointment almost in the air for the Terps. And the game is not over. The series is not over. And it's hard to dig yourself out of that mindset once you're there.
Yeah, I mean, the Terps definitely felt like this game was theirs to win in the first half, and they can feel it slipping through their fingers. It's absolutely not over. They are still up rounds, and even if this is a save round for them, we've seen them win these kinds of rounds before. And even if they lose it, the round will be tied, which is perfectly fine. They just need to, lock back into, whatever they were tapping into to start this game off. They need to find that again. Because right now OSU is definitely looking to turn the tides.
Oh, and the Terps on the other side of that one-way going to use Jinho's rocket to try and gain a little bit of space. Jinho's not going to find anybody into elbow, but at least that sound of that Raze ultimate bought the Terps a little bit of room, but they have not cleared this A site at all. There's 2 or maybe 3 even defenders just stacked waiting for this elbow push to come through, and that's exactly what the Breach is doing as he finds the pick on Sin. Yex able to respond for the moment, but Terps really just getting picked off here into elbow, and that is going to be the nail in the coffin this round. And we are at an even score line just out of nowhere. You would have had no idea that this game would have ended up this way if you had just watched the first half.
Yeah, absolutely. And a really good timeout called. This is going to be the last for the Terps in this match, and this is really going to be very important for them, because if they lose this next round, Ohio State is going to put themselves on a fantastic opportunity to just put themselves right onto match point and maybe take this round from what feels like right under Terps' hands,
Yeah, this would be a insane comeback from OSU, because I know there have been more dire scorelines, but just the nature in which UMD won those 9 rounds is just unlike anything I've seen in a while in the studio. So I would hate to see the Terps lose this round. And I think, they had a little bit of disappointment in the play versus league. And I think there was a lot of energy into Big Ten saying, okay, well, we have a lot to work towards in this tournament. This is a tournament that typically ends in a LAN. There's a lot on the line for these players, and they know that.
Absolutely. We'll see what the Terps are going to be able to pull out for this next round. Looks like they're stacking more heavily towards the A side, opting away from the mid hits, and I think that's a good call because it hasn't really been working for them, but you have to imagine that a similar thought process is going for OSU. They do have that Omen towards mid. Fortunately, they are going to be pushing onto OSU's weak site, only the Cypher here. If they can get through him, they should be able to walk their way right onto site.
Yeah, they do have a setup in their way. Yek's gonna use that Reyna ultimate to try and just help him out, get these picks, have the advantage, anything to give the Terps any sort of lead here. Terps able to plant this bomb. Things are looking good for them, but they have to dodge this breach ultimate here. Yek's fully blind, gets picked off. Sin gets a pick from that Sova ultimate. It's just a bloodbath here onto site. Terps slightly numbers up. Can they hold on to that advantage? They're struggling to. Sin gets a very important pick, and the Ohio State's trying to defuse this bomb, and Sin has a great round at 3 picks when the Terps absolutely needed it the most.
Yeah, that was probably the most important round in this entire game, is set the scene for the Terps to set themselves up to maybe take this match. But, you know, Ohio State is not a pushover. We've seen that faced with adversity, they will claw their way back on this map, and Maryland cannot rest on their laurels right now. Yes, that last round was huge for them. It was incredibly pivotal, but they still need to take this next round and the round after that if they want to win.
Yeah, every round from here on out is going to be the most important round for the Terps, and here we are into the next one. OSU being really aggressive right outside of that A site. Yek's trying to respond there, and no one gets sighted quite yet, and looks like we're in a bit of a slower round yet again. Hopefully the Terps can take this time, breathe, recoup, get a level head, and decide where they want to go.
Yeah, I love the way that the Terps are playing this. They're stopping the aggression from Ohio State, but in a very non-committal way, just allowing OSU to take the backseat in the engagement that they're trying to start. And Terps looking for some space on the map, hoping that OSU oversteps just a little bit, but OSU is playing very, very regimented. They're keeping that space A main that they have. I love that smoke out of the Terps. It hopefully will be able to give them a pipeline to B sites that they wouldn't otherwise have, but OSU is just doing such a good job of holding space in this match.
And from the looks of the positioning of UMD, it seems like B is going to be the play call, but only if they can successfully take market control, which is all up to Yek's right now. He pushes through. ZK1's going to be the one to get that trade, and he's trying to dance his way here onto the site to get that bomb down, help his team form up a strong post plan, as Moose has a really good hold there into mid, but he gets caught on the rotate from A site. The Terps have really got to hold down the fort here.
Beautiful angle from Sin, and I have to imagine that was built off of the info that Moose was able to get even in death. A good grenade just going to keep OSU off of the bomb, and ZK1 has to make his way back onto site somehow, because it looks like there's some aggression from OSU, but the players are just going to take it, and now they've worked their way onto match point. They just need one more round, and I'm not sure OSU has a lot of money in the bank to take this next round either.
Huge round with huge implications, knowing that OSU's going to call for the timeout. Like you said, the economy's in favor for the Terps. The energy's up for the Terps. The scoreline, everything. They just have one round in their way. Can they seal the deal on the other side of this timeout? It all comes down to this.
They need to be careful. They're on a high right now. They just need one more round, and it's a very advantageous round. But we've seen them on a high before on this map specifically, and it didn't work out for them. It allowed OSU to claw their way back from a 9-3 scoreline. Finally, Terps Esports have pushed their way back into the lead, but you know, we've seen a decisive lead before slip out of Terps Esports' fingers, and they need to make sure that that doesn't happen again.
And they're so incredibly close. They have fought for the last couple hours of Valorant here, and they just have 1 minute and 30 seconds left to determine who wins this series. We have very suspenseful music. It's only fit here. Very important round coming up right about now.
Let's see what they're going to be able to pull off, as I really want to just take a look at that buy that OSU has. One of the players doesn't have full shields. Only one of them doesn't have shield at all. Only one of them has full shields, and you know, we see Guardians, the Terps Esports walking their way forward, and I love this call out from Yek's on the Outlaw. We've seen how deadly it can be in his hands in rounds like this before, and hopefully we can see some of that magic again.
All right, it's kind of passive right now. They're trying to just get a read on where the defense is set up. Where is that cipher? Where are their numbers? The answer is going to be on that B site. There's 3 players waiting for that push to come through. Terps being really, really quiet, but it is the calm before the storm here. And they're doing a really good job of kind of drawing some defenders off of that site directly, but they're really going to have to fight for it if they're going to get this bomb down.
Yeah, beautiful timing from Terps Esports walking their way into this main area, and that smoke is going to be the go-ahead for Terps Esports to start walking forward. Unfortunately, neither of those players are going to be able to stop the players in market, as Terps Esports are going to go down 4-3, and with only 40 seconds left on the clock, this round is not looking as good as they might have hoped it would at this point.
And they still have bomb control. They could rotate if they really wanted to right here, right now. But as time ticks down, that becomes less and less of an option. Looks like they're going to have to win this B site. Yex gets things started with an outlaw kill, but they've got to focus their efforts towards market. And it's just 2 players come down crumbling for the Terps. Yex, half HP, has the bomb, has a good weapon in hand, tries to get this bomb planted, and looks like he's able to do so. But he's got to get these 2 picks. Gets 1, has 5 HP to work off of. Can he take this series home for the Terps? It's down to a 1v1.
Does he know where this Omen is? He finally looks away. He looks back, and unfortunately, just 1 or 2 shots off of it. He's so close to getting that, but fortunately, the Terps Esports have 1 more chance in this half if they want to take it. Otherwise, it's going to be into overtime, which frankly would be a very fitting outcome for the story, because this has been the most back and forth game I've seen in quite a while from the Terps.
Oh no, and look at their buy. Look at their buy. It's not great here. Granted, on the OSU side, you know, they have a couple of those, you know, not Vandals and Phantoms, have a Guardian, have a Bucky. But, you know, the Terps just, they gotta dig deep here. You know, you had your guns in the last round. You couldn't quite seal the deal. It's gotta come in this round.
We'll see if they're gonna be able to do it. Sin going for just a nice recon dart, stopping all of the aggression that we've seen out of OSU in mid. Is that Neon looking to push mid? She's gonna push through with the ultimate. Sin is just not quite ready for it at all. We'll see how much more space this Neon is gonna be able to make it. Unfortunately, Moose just gets shot in the back of the head. And as this Neon keeps walking forward, we see the ultimate from Raze coming out. It's gonna find 1, and surely that Breach has to be low as well. A great grenade brings the Terps back into this. They're able to find guns, and it's just a clean 2v2. Somehow out of the ashes, Terps have a chance to win this round as we finally take a break. Just a little breather halfway through to see what the Terps are going to do.
Jinho really was the one to just get the Terps are where they are now, where this round is winnable. Got so many kills thanks to his utility and was able to just really level the playing field here for the Terps.
Yeah, I love this play. They're not planting yet. They want to see how much space that they can get, because OSU has no idea where they are. If they can get this Cypher just in the back, he may not be ready for it, or they're going to push even further, try to get a jump onto this Sova. He's got his knife out. He's not going to be ready. It's now a 1v2. They know where he is. They've set up the crossfire. The smoke comes down. They're going to be able to shoot him. Terps Esports going to be able to take it in the last round before overtime. And Terps are going to be able to take the match and keep themselves in BEC.
Huge win. What a team effort from our Terps. Textbook series. They fought for this one. They just showed a lot about their character and their unity as a team. Everything you would want to see on a wonderful Thursday evening Terps Esports Valorant stream. So, of course, we want to thank you all for watching, but don't click away. I think we have a special video to show you guys. So we are just getting that video queued up very shortly.
Yes, the editors over at Reckwell have done such a good job on showing just the skill and the passion of these players. So they've put together a little video that these players are going to be able to watch in celebration. They have not seen this before. And so I'm really excited for what we're going to see.
Yeah, and just a quick shout out before we watch this video. Shout out to the content team. You know, they put so much work into producing really cool projects like this. And I feel like the content team, a lot of their work gets seen, but they themselves, I feel like, don't get some of the recognition that they deserve. So definitely shout out the creators of this video. I won't spoil it yet. We'll wait for the credits to roll.
Yeah, I'm just glad that they were able to show off something a little bit flashier, because we see so much stuff that kind of falls just into the back line. You know, we've got our observers who do such a wonderful job. You can see how good all of the graphics are, and we just don't get the opportunity to talk about this. So for them to put on a highlight reel of their own and just show off the highs and the highs specifically, not the lows. We've had plenty of those for one night, I think. Just show off the highs that Terps Esports has to offer. I'm really excited to see how these players react to this, because they have not seen this before.
Yeah, I wanted to mention too, the Terps all evening in the studio have been so excited to watch this video. Like, I have heard whispers nonstop of, oh, is the video ready? When are we going to see the video? Oh, I heard this rumor about the video. They are so excited to see this, and we're going to be able to see their live reactions as they watch it. So really exciting stuff coming up. Please do not click away yet.
We are going to go right into that in just 1 second. 3, 2, 1.
They actually think they can plant the spike.
Nobody escapes you, but they try.
What did I say? Don't mess with me.
Today is not our day to shine.
I'll fight anybody. I'll fight everybody.
All right, huge shout out to Pradeep and Richard, who co-edited this epic video. I hope you enjoyed seeing the players' reactions just as much as we did. I saw them rubbing their hands together, getting really excited about it. So great way to end an amazing series here.
Absolutely. We're going to let them ride the high of this night and that video now. I just wanted to take a second to thank our sponsors. That's the Philip Merrill College of Journalism, Reckwell, and of course Playwire as well. Thank you guys for letting this stream happen, and we'll see you guys all next time.